Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. We are live. We got the latest Manchester United news. Ruben Amorim doing his press conference for the match versus Aston Villa had some pretty big remarks, actually, to make. He's called out player entitlement at Manchester United, something that I fully back and I do believe. And I am 100% behind the manager on this. I think the interview, not the interview, but I think the press conference he gave was absolutely brilliant. I think it was spot on. He got me fired up, and I'm backing him 100% because the things that he is saying, I think, is 100% facts for this football club. And there's been a lot of talk in recent times from ex-players, legends of this football club. A lot about it having to do with Kobbie Mainoo and youth in general and player mentality and all this sorts of things. And I think, what he said today in the press conference, listen, not for nothing, but I literally said the same thing yesterday and the day before and the day before that and the day before that. So, I'm on the same page with the manager. And I'm backing him. I think he is the right guy for this football club. When I hear him speak, he does say the right things. I highly disagreed with Paul Scholes that he doesn't understand this football club. I think he does understand this football club. But I think there's a process that we need to go through, that you have to be willing to accept and understand that we need to go through it to get back to where Manchester United should be. So we're going to go through, the press conference. I got it up here on the screen. We will play it. There will be the audio. And we'll do sort of a live reaction to it. Also with that is obviously the news. Let me take this off the screen real quick. There is the news about Semenyo as well, and some transfer updates for Manchester United, and some other updates. One update saying that Kobbie Mainoo is apparently now looking for a permanent move. We're going to get into that. That's coming from Chris Wheeler. And, some other things as well. So make sure you smash the like button. Listen, it's going to be a passionate one. It's going to be a fiery one. I'm telling you now, right from the beginning. So if you're ready for that, strap in and let's go. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell icon. We are trying to get to 3,500 subscribers, so help us out there. But please make sure you do smash the like button. It is a major help to the channel. It gets more Reds to see it. So, we greatly appreciate when you do that. Now, before I get into sort of the press conference, because this is the bigger part, it's the bigger topic, it's the bigger discussion. So we're going to put that to a little bit of the back. We're going to hit sort of the Semenyo updates right now, because there is some significance and movement on this coming from Fabrizio Romano and a couple others. And, this might look like something that may actually materialize. There is big competition for Manchester United to get Semenyo in, but I will deliver the updates as follows. So the first update we got from Fabrizio, or one of the updates we got from Fabrizio, is that Manchester United and Manchester City are fully in the race to sign Antoine Semenyo. Liverpool made a call in November, and Tottenham are not advancing. Semenyo is expected to move in January. He also gave another update sort of following on to that, saying Manchester United and Manchester City are both pushing and are in direct talks to sign Antoine Semenyo. We then also got an update from Pete Hall earlier, giving his own update about Semenyo, saying Manchester United are now seen as the front runners for Antoine Semenyo in January. He also reiterated United, City, Tottenham, and Liverpool have all spoken to Semenyo about personal terms and their plans for him. And another sort of, minor update, but it paints the picture a little bit better, is that Antoine Semenyo has a £65 million release clause, which a lot of us have already known. And this can be activated in January up until the 10th. So up until the 10th of January, you can activate his release clause. Any club can activate his release clause of £65 million. After January 10th, you won't be able to activate it. So I don't know what happens then. It sort of is being painted as he's going to leave in January. He's not going to stay. He is one of these players that is looking to sort of move in the January transfer window. And we've talked about this a few times, in that, sometimes you got to do the deal that's in front of you. And this happens to be a deal that, listen, we might be looking to get him in the summer, but the opportunity is sort of presenting itself now. So you got to sit there and you got to make a decision. How important do you deem this player? How important do you deem it to the project, to the club, to the team, and for Ruben Amorim? How is it important to him? If he is highly important, then this is something that you have to look to do. And you got to do it now, because if you don't move, somebody else might move. Manchester City are apparently highly involved in this, according to reports. And, you know, Liverpool and Spurs are having a sniff around, and maybe they decide to sort of pull a U-turn and then go full into it. So, you know, we have until the 10th. I don't know if this will happen. It, you know, that sort of up until the 10th makes me a little bit suspect if it's going to happen or not. Maybe United aren't that interested. Maybe our name is being used again to sort of push a transfer. Maybe this is coming from his agent to get him, you know, some movement, so that maybe one of these other clubs that are also named, you know, make a move or step up their interest, or, you know, accelerate the process. The reason why I'm a little bit worried about this is because we have received reports before about how United would be looking to do basically any business in sort of the second half of January, once our players that are, you know, away at AFCON come back, which would allow, you know, any players to sort of leave, and then that would also allow any players to sort of come in. So I don't know. I rate him. I think he's a very, very good player. I think, listen, I know it's one match and it was against us, but you can see the talent. I've watched him play many games. I watch a ton of Premier League games. I don't just watch United. I watch all Premier League games. I watch all Premier League matches. He's a very talented player. He's quick. He's good. I think he embodies sort of this spirit of, you know, a player that we would like at Manchester United. Hardworking, has good skill. Has a good sort of mentality on the pitch, attitude on the pitch, you know, fights for every ball. And he can score goals, man. He can score goals. He can get assists. And we need to continue to build and grow this team anyway. So, and my standards for Manchester United is that just because we do a deal for Semenyo for 65 million, one, I think it should help us for the remaining of the season, which I believe would give us a better chance in finishing as high as possible, specifically in Europe. And then also, the second thing is, just because we do a deal for 65 million pounds for Semenyo doesn't mean that we shouldn't be then not also trying to get in some sort of a midfielder to help us in the midfield area. We should be looking to do all these things. You know, if Ineos are serious and United are actually going to accomplish things, and Ruben is going to succeed, and the project is going to work, then we need to act like a proper football club. We can't ignore January. We can't say, oh, woe's us, it was too tough, we couldn't do anything. No, we must accomplish something in January of some sort of significance. It has to have weight. It has to have value to it. It needs to have a big impact for us, because all these other clubs are going to do it. All of them will do it. Arsenal is going to do it. Chelsea will do it. Liverpool will do it. Villa will do it. Everybody's going to do it. Everybody. Brighton, everybody will do it. West Ham will do it. Wolves will do it, and they're going to get relegated. So we must be doing it. Box is here, says, yo, Eric, what's up, Box? And Lucky is here as well, says Ruben Neves, João Gomez. Well, there is Ruben Neves, apparently. I mean, this was sort of, you know, came up yesterday. He is available for 20 million. We talked about it a little bit, you know, at the end of yesterday's show, sort of. I thought he was way older than he is. I didn't know that he's 28. He's going to turn 29 in March, I believe. And he is available for 20 million. The thing is, I can't really give 100% opinion on if we should or shouldn't do it, because I don't know how good he is anymore. You know, he's been playing in Saudi Pro League. Saudi Pro League, I don't rate. I don't think it's close to the top 5 leagues. I don't, although they are getting a bunch of players to go there, but still, I don't think it's highly competitive at all. And he's been there for, I don't even know how, you know, at least a few years now. So I don't know how good he is, but he has played in the Premier League before. When he was at Wolves and playing at the Premier League, he was good. He was a player that many United fans wanted. and he is there available for 20 million. So, this is up to the club. This is on them to sort of, it's their job to figure out, does he have the ability? Does it work for us? It's a little bit out of range in terms of he is 28, he is 29 from Ineos' standpoint, but it also, at the same time, it fits into Ruben's sort of thing where he wants players that have some sort of experience for sure, just in general. But Ruben Neves does have Premier League experience in the past as well. And yes, he's Portuguese, but he's an experienced player, and Ruben, we know, has been asking for more experience. We've seen that. I think it's quite clear. All the links that we had in the summer to these more experienced players, like Ollie Watkins, for example, or maybe even Emiliano Martinez. These players are experienced Premier League players, and you see the team he's been fielding week in, week out. They are experienced players. He has put the youth a bit on the back burner to a certain extent. And, I think maybe it would be one that Ruben wants, but I don't know if Ineos wanted. But I think if you put the age to the side a little bit, yeah, sure, he's not 24, he's not 25. I think 20 million, probably for a 28-year-old with some past Premier League experience, and hopefully he still has a high level of talent, like he can come to the Prem and actually, provide, something that we need. I think it would be a good deal. I don't think you can really go wrong. 20 million for a 28-year-old, that has the potential to, aid us in the rest of the season and can also be part of the squad later on. I mean, we sort of expect Cass to go. We don't really know if he's going to go. But even if I look at it, you tell me, we get Ruben Neves in and we let Manuel Ugarte go, whether we send him on loan or we sell him. I would probably take that swap because I don't see Manuel Ugarte as being useful at all at this moment in time. I mean, he's not playing, he's not getting any match time. So, Newcastle are not a top club.
Mhm.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're definitely not in the traditional six. So, Bach says, hold on, let me fix the chat here. Oh my God. Bach says, yeah, I'm not sure either. I'd prefer if we obtained our long-term targets rather than short-term fixes, but we can't. But, we can't get them. We can't get long-term fixes for the midfielder right now. We can't. And, I think with Ruben Neves or somebody else out there, they could still be medium-term length. I mean, 28, you can still get a good 4 years out of the guy, maybe at the minimum. I would expect at least a good 4 years out of the guy, if he is still at the quality that I hope he is. So, I think, listen, I can't tell the club that they need to do something and then be like, well, we need the long term and we shouldn't get short term or whatever like that. We still need something now, and I'd rather face the music as you just can't get Elliot Anderson out of there. He won't move and they won't sell. You can't get Adam Wharton. He won't move and they won't sell. And Baleba, he would probably come. But if Brighton are being stubborn, you can only try and force their hand so much. And if they refuse it and they hold out, there's nothing we could really do other than that. We can try at the very least. We should try. But at the end of the day, I mean, if they're unwilling to work with us, if they're unwilling to do a deal, there's not much that we could do. I think the only angle we might have is Baleba, because he's willing to come. But then it obviously goes down to, Brighton's standpoint. So if he can't do those deals, which I'm accepting as that we're probably not going to be able to do those deals, then we do have to get somebody else in there. And there is a lot of room to do a lot of different sort of things in that midfield. You can go down the route of getting Ruben Neves. You can loan out Manuel Ugarte if you want. You can keep him there. You can keep everybody there. You can have Ruben Neves. You can let Casemiro go in the summer. You can let Ugarte go in the summer. You still have Ruben Neves. You still have Kobbie Mainoo, hopefully, but maybe not. And and then you go and you get the long-term targets in the summer when you can, because sometimes you just can't get everything that you want at the time that you need it or want to. So if they sack Eddie Howe, bring top manager Jose Mourinho. Listen, Jose Mourinho is finished at the highest level. He's at Portugal. He's at Benfica. All right, his next job will probably be the Portuguese national team. I mean, he's done. He's done. He cannot manage at the highest level anymore. The football has moved past him in a certain sense. Okay, he's all right for Benfica. They can still win you in cup competitions, but nah, Newcastle wouldn't do that. Bring Eddie Howe. It doesn't fit the philosophy of what they're doing, and they ain't getting Zidane either. Zidane don't want to go to England, so that's not happening. Is João Gomez really an upgrade on Ugarte? Not sure, to be honest. He might be. He might be. Well, I don't know. I mean, listen, he's playing at Wolves, so they're not great. So, I mean, how much of an upgrade? Maybe you can argue that, but at the same time, I mean, he is playing regularly in the Prem. He's probably more suited to the Prem, and he's got sort of different characteristics and traits to Manuel Ugarte that could be useful. So, but I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we're going to get João Gomez, because his name has disappeared from the conversation. So I don't think João Gomez is in the conversation. I don't think João Gomez is a viable option anymore. I mean, he was at one point, but we're not receiving updates about it. And literally the last update I saw was that Wolves wanted somewhere in the region of 70 million. And that was the last that we ever heard of João Gomez being mentioned to Manchester United. Conor Gallagher is still being mentioned to Manchester United. There's Semenyo. Now there's Ruben Neves. And maybe a couple new ones sort of pop up. I mean, there was a link to Tyler Adams, but that was for the summer from Bournemouth. We saw him play against us as well in the past match. So, yeah, I don't think that João Gomez is I don't think João Gomez is going to happen. Don't, unless something changes. But there's nothing being talked about. João Gomez is totally out of the conversation now. So, I don't even regard him as an option anymore. Unless it pops back up on the radar, but it's not on the radar. They're not talking about him. All of that has disappeared. So, Fox says, I had high hopes for Ugarte. He looked good for Sporting in Uruguay. And he didn't play a lot at PSG, but with their depth quality, I sort of expected that. He seems to have dipped in England. Well, again, this is sort of that angle that, and I did too, Box, but this is sort of that thing that not every transfer you're going to do. And, I've been saying this literally since Ineos, the first time they ever took over. You're not going to get every transfer right, and not every player is going to work properly. The whole point is you have to try and get more better than you do bad, and then you win. Every team, you look at every team. I mean, listen, some teams have better sort of flexibility with it, but look at all the transfers Manchester City did. They don't have 100% success rates. Look at the transfers that Liverpool did. They don't have 100% success rate. Look at the transfers that Arsenal did. They don't have 100% success rate. No, nobody's going to get 100% success rate. So to me, listen, I had high hopes for Ugarte, but this is what it is. It's just sometimes some players, they aren't built for what we need. They're not built for the Prem. I've been having this discussion on here. I've been having this discussion online. I'm tired of this nonsense around Manchester United, where people are labeling our club as we destroy talent, because I don't think when you say it in that manner, okay, it puts a sort of this thing on the club where we are doing something horribly wrong behind the scenes, and we are 100% destroying players, and it's completely our fault. And I think the fan base needs to step up and start speaking out about it, because it's bullshit. It is 100% bullshit. Until I was saying this the other day, Scott McTominay came out yesterday in an interview, and they asked him about this. They asked Scott about this, and Scott said, I don't believe that. He said that's too easy of a sort of an excuse. He said, for me, when I was there, he said they did everything. They gave me everything for me to succeed and perform well. He said my last season, I performed exceptionally well. And he said, I left because they had PSR problems and it was mutual, and I wanted to help the club. So I big up Scott McTominay, because that is a true Manchester United player. That is a true Manchester United fan in a certain way. And in that, listen, he left the football club. He loved their football club, but listen, he could have chose to come out and threw us in the dirt, and he didn't. And I think he didn't because he loves the club, but also I think he believes in what he's saying, and he respects the football club. So, he's gone out of there, and I think he made some very big points in that. Listen, the spotlight is different. England is different than every other league. Until these people, I will challenge any of them, and I will destroy them with facts, because they don't speak facts. They speak nonsense. These people that say that all these players that leave United and then their career reflourishes. Again, it's like Mourinho once said, see where they play, when they play, and if they play. All right? They go into different leagues. They're playing for different teams. They don't have the standards. They don't have the demands as Manchester United. They don't even have, if you want to go a step further, they don't even have the same ownership model as us, which impacts a lot. Okay, so it's all down to recruitment. My point is, where I went off on a tangent on this. I was circling it back to Ugarte. It's just bad recruitment. That's all it is. Most of it is bad recruitment. Anthony didn't belong in the Premier League. He didn't belong with us. Jadon Sancho can't play in the Premier League. He doesn't belong with us. We shouldn't have got him. It's bad recruitment. It is bad recruitment. Rasmus Højlund, clearly, he had listen, maybe he should have got another chance. Maybe he could have made it. I think maybe we gave up a little bit too early on him, but he had very struggling pains coming from the Serie A to England. He's gone back to Serie A, and he's doing well there. And he's playing for a totally different team. Scott McTominay's gone there. It's a totally different league. It's a totally different football. So until I see players leaving United and going to other Premier League teams, and specifically top teams with, similar amount of pressure and demand, and maybe even teams that have better squads than us, and they're balling out, then I refuse to accept this narrative. And this narrative is bullshit, and I will continue to call it out, because it is quite bullshit that these people say this. I mean, yesterday I was scrolling through online, and I'm looking in the Scott McTominay comments, and you just see these random people saying that, United kill players and all this stuff. And I'm like, but you guys are morons, because it's not that we're killing players to a certain extent, like something is so bad that we're doing, like we don't train them properly, or we don't feed them properly, or the nutrition is fucked up or something like that, or there's this like evil onus at the club that you just walk through the door and all of a sudden you become a bad player, because that's what they're trying to insinuate. It's not that, it's the pressures, it's the demands. I've always said you need to be a special type of player to be at Manchester United. You always have, and you always need to, because this club is different than every other club. And if you don't have the mentality, if you don't have the attitude, coupled with that skill ability, and then you have to fit the Premier League football, you will fail at this football club, whether we're good or bad. When we were good, when we were winning titles almost every season, how many players came through the door at Manchester United, and they didn't make it, and they failed, and then they were removed. Okay, but nobody talks about them, because in that period we were so good, and then we had really good players. This period everybody wants to talk about, but nobody talks about all the other players. They want to point out Rashford. They want to point out Scott McTominay. What about the other 27 players that we let go of this football club that are doing absolutely nothing? The list of players that we let go that have gone on to do fuck all because they're not good, and they weren't good enough, and they shouldn't have been in our club, and they shouldn't have been in the Premier League, is 3 times the size than the players that have left our football club and are doing good in other leagues. So, McTominay, what a guy. Yep. The interviewer was trying to get him to say a soundbite well, listen, I know her, and she's actually a United fan. So I don't know if she was actually trying to get him a soundbite, right? She said that she is a United fan. I know her. I'm pretty sure it was Kate Abdul, if I'm not wrong. And Kate Abdul, she is a United supporter. I think, listen, I respect the question. I actually think that it was good that she asked it to him, and actually his response to me was quite brilliant, because I think it was exactly what needed to be said. And I think people need to hear this, because there's some people out there that can't think for themselves, and they if a player says something, it's like, written in stone. If it's an ex-player, it's written in stone. If it's a legend, it's they just have to follow it. They're not allowed to disagree with it. They're not allowed, it's like a Bible for them or something like that, and I highly disagree with that. Just because they're ex-players or legends doesn't mean that their opinion is always going to be right. They're human beings. They get shit wrong all the time. Everybody gets shit wrong all the time. So I don't think she was really trying to get a sound bite. I mean, it depends, Listen, also, she works for a network, so maybe they told her to ask that question as well. She's just doing her job. But I have no problem with that. I think they should ask questions like that, because this is what is the conversation going on inside of the fan base, and people need to hear it. People need to hear things like this from ex-players, that they will sort of look up to. A lot of people have been, very happy for Scott McTominay, bigging up Scott McTominay. Some people have been doing revisionism and saying we should have never let him go and this and that, even though most people wanted him gone anyway. And when he comes out and says something like that, it makes them think, it makes them have to sort of reassess to a certain degree, because they're like, well, I've been supporting Scott, and Scott has this opinion or this view of the football club. Maybe I've been, going about it the wrong way. Maybe I've been thinking about it the wrong way. Maybe Scott is right, and maybe I've been wrong the whole time. So we do need that sort of stuff to happen. And there's a lot more that's going to come out that we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. So we've fallen of biggest club nearly 13 years. I mean, we have fallen pretty hard. Yes, we have. Arsenal have won the league for 22 years. Yes. And actually, I do have a statement by Sir Alex Ferguson as well, because Sir Alex Ferguson actually spoke today, and somewhere he was, I don't know where it was, but I will, let me see if I pull it up on the screen. It's quite long, so actually I might just read it. But Sir Alex Ferguson was asked, actually, about Ruben Amorim. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, even though it's about Ruben Amorim, is because he does sort of mention, like, boxes, Arsenal haven't won the league for 22 years. He does mention, when he came in and how things weren't easy for him. And he sort of sees a similar situation for Ruben, and things are not very easy for Ruben. And he talks about Liverpool and stuff like this. So let me just read the full quote. He said, Amorim, is a good personality. It's not easy. I remember looking back at my own time there, starting off when Liverpool were the bee's knees. They were a fantastic club, winning the European Cup 4 times and all that. But then it took them 31 years. It was 30. He said 31. It was 30 to win the league again. He then goes on to say, we are now in the same situation. It could be 10 years, could be 11 years from now, he's saying. So the next 10, 11 years, he's saying that maybe in the next 10, 11 years, we actually come back to win the league. He said because of that cycle. He said it has to be thought out carefully, and we have to make sure the recruitment is going to be better than what it was. He also went on to say, I think the appointment of the goalkeeper, Lemons, has made a difference. He's young, at 23, he's quick, a big lad, good feet and hands, and I think that helps. He also said, I think they have needed that player. United have always had inspirational players over the years. I think that has helped. He also said the other two, Mbeumo and Cunha, they look as if they will contribute to the recovery of our form. So, I mean, listen, it's always good to hear from Sir Alex Ferguson. And listen, he is right. I mean, I've sort of gone back and forth on this channel, and at times, and sometimes it feels like it is going to take us another 10 to 11 years. I think I just said it a couple of shows ago that, when you talk about the Glazers and you feel like they're being here, like, and you look at the situation, we're in year 12 with no Premier League title, and a little bit further more without a Champions League title. You sort of look at how these clubs go through these cycles. I mean, Arsenal, again, 22 years, and Liverpool did 30 years. And, even if you look into our own history, we did periods where it was maybe 15, 20 years, and then we came back to the top. And we're in year 12. So hopefully it doesn't take that long. But I always kind of feel like it could take that long. and maybe Sir Alex Ferguson is right. Maybe it has to take another, I sort of said 8 years. I said maybe somewhere around the 20th year mark. Maybe we'll actually be back there, because a lot of things need to go right. We need to get a lot of things correct on the path there, and there's a lot of turbulence, there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of issues, and we don't know how things are going to go. If Ruben gets sacked and this sort of fails, what happens after that? There's a lot of implications. We don't know what's going to happen, so it could further, it can make the process longer and stuff like that. But listen, it's very good that Sir Alex has come out now, because, listen, I've seen some of the people talk about Ruben in some of the most disgusting ways I've ever seen people talk about somebody. And, they like to bring up Sir Alex Ferguson, and they like to compare Sir Alex to him. They like to say Sir Alex, wouldn't stand for the things that he's doing at the football club. And then for Sir Alex Ferguson to come out and make these quotes that he's made, best timing possible. And maybe Fergie felt a little bit compelled to do it, because maybe he's seen what some of his, former players have been saying publicly, and sort of going in at the manager. And ultimately, those guys, they still see him as the boss. So when the boss speaks, maybe they shut up a little bit, or maybe they sort of change their thought of training a little bit. A lot of them still look up to him in that way, that whatever he says still goes. He will forever be boss to them. So, Eric, how can an MUFC fan actively support and root for other rival teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, etc.? Or is it just the modern fans? Well, I mean, listen, there are some fans out there that, there's some fans out there that they support whole players over football clubs. All right. So I think in today's time, with the access of the internet, and the access to sort of all these people that you might have not known about before, I think you will find almost every type of fan nowadays, really. The things that you see, the things that I see, I wish I kept this, but there was a guy yesterday that actually made a whole quote, and they were talking about Kobbie Mainoo, and they were saying that, like, why should Kobbie have to respect Ruben Amorim? Why should he even listen to him? Why should he have to prove anything to Ruben? Because Ruben is our worst manager. And I'm like, I was so happy, and this is why you have to let people speak. This is why you have to you have to let people say things, even if you don't like it. Because what he did, and he didn't realize, is if you go into the replies, every single person is hitting him, and like, bro, you are literally, that is literally Player FC statement of the year. You are literally full Player FC, and this is the problem that we're talking about that's been at our football club for quite some time. You are telling a player to not earn their place, to not fight for their place, to supersede the manager just because maybe the manager is wrong, or maybe you don't like the manager. You're giving the player power, and this is the problem that we've had at this football club for so long. And you got and it's up to the responsibility of the rest of the people with the common sense, when they see that, to call it out. And that's exactly what happened. And this is why I believe you always have to let people speak, regardless of if you think they're stupid, they're saying something stupid, it doesn't make sense. It's important to let these people say things, because when they do, and when they tend to be really bad takes or really stupid takes, they will get not shunned, but they will get embarrassed for it, okay? Because most people that actually have common sense and don't do things for clicks and likes, they will come out and they will voice their opinion and say, no, you are wrong, and you are, on this side of the argument. So, listen, I don't know. Lucky writes a lot of things. I tell him not to spam, but I can't read all his comments because I'll be here for 10 years. So I don't know what he's saying, but I gotta pick and choose. If he tones them down a bit and he selects just one or two sort of thoughts and opinions, I can read what he's saying. But imagine being a Messi or Ronaldo fan. You've gone from watching Man United, Madrid, Barca to now supporting Saudi and Inter Milan. Well, I think that's sort of the problem. I think, unfortunately, it's not their fault. It's not Messi and Ronaldo's fault. It's not, because it's not like they told people to do this. But I think it is sort of a byproduct of these two guys, because they are the two greatest footballers, and many people will argue they're the best of all time, and other people will say, there's one or two better than them. But certainly in the last, I don't know how many years you want to say, 20, 25, whatever, however long it's been, a long, long time. Certainly, probably, I would take it back to probably Pele and Maradona at the very least. These guys have came and they have conquered football. And the byproduct of that is that there are people that they just love these players. And, there's people that they're not United fans, but they watched United and because they wanted to watch Ronaldo, and they then supported United for a little while until he went to Real Madrid, and then they became Real Madrid fans in a certain sense, and they supported Ronaldo there, and then they went to Juventus, and then they came back to United, and then they went to Saudi Pro League, and this is what happens, And unfortunately, I think it is an unfortunate byproduct of these guys, because I think it started a lot with them. I think it started a lot with them. They are the two biggest ones. The rivalry between Ronaldo fans and Messi fans always arguing for which one is better. It really started there, and I still don't understand it. I don't really get it. I don't really understand how you can call yourself a fan of the sport and support just a player and not really teams. To me, it doesn't make sense. To me, the whole point is like you have a team and you support it. But yeah, I mean, this is what happens. Like, Kobbie Mainoo hasn't achieved anything in his career as a player. Well, I would make that argument, yes, and I'm gonna get into that because we'd have to do the Ruben Amorim press conference, which we're going to do it live. I'm going to play the clips of the press conference. You're going to hear them. The video is going to be up on the screen, and we're going to react to it live because some of the things he said, number one, when I watched it, I was fired up and I was passionate, and I'm fully behind this guy again now. I don't give a shit. You could come after me. I don't care, because when I listen to him, he's saying all the right things, and I believe him, and I believe that he is a guy that could be very good for this club. We need a lot of things to go our way. He needs to make the correct calls and decisions along the way as well. And it doesn't mean that he can't get criticized, but I think if he can figure out a way to succeed in terms of sort of in the short term right now, get us into a good period, and we can continue to build, I think he can bring us something sort of special to this football club that we have been missing in terms of identity and mentality for a long time. Lauren says, the narrative is Kobbie Mainoo has become destructive to the team now and has to be away for a while. What do you think? Personally, I would sell him now with a Jan replacement. I don't think he is destructive. Listen, I think a lot of this isn't his fault. Again, this has been all, in my opinion, it's been 100% blown out of proportion by everybody involved. Fans, media, everything. As far as I see, he's allowed to be unhappy. He's allowed to ask for more game time, and he's allowed to ask for a loan if he's not going to be played. I don't have problems with these things. I would like for him to stay and fight, but at the same time, listen, I understand the circumstances of this football club and this season, and we don't have a lot of games. I think that's a fact, and I sort of agree with sort of the direction that's happening in terms of, to me, Ruben is quite clearly, whether you like it or not, he's gone with the experience. He's gone with the experience for a reason. He believes in it, so I'm going to let the manager do his process to see if it works out or not. And we're playing one match a week. We talked about this a little bit in the last match, and I think it was a good point because it's something that I don't think is really being looked at or talked about. You play one match a week, maybe it's a little bit harder to keep the momentum going. You play a match on Saturday or Sunday, the next match you play, to keep that rhythm, to keep that game flow, is not for a whole week. Whereas if you're playing 2 to 3 matches a week, it's on a shorter basis. So maybe you're better keeping that rhythm. And I think one of the reasons why he keeps trying to pick the same team over and over again is because he's trying to get them in a rhythm. We need consistency. We talk about consistency. How do you build consistency? You need the same guys playing as much as possible to build the connections, to build the rhythm, to actually get somewhere. So I think that's why he's doing this. I think that's why he keeps, people say he keeps picking these same guys and they keep failing. He's trying to break through the wall. He's trying to get it to click. He's trying to get it to work. You're not going to get that if you're chopping and changing. You're not going to get that if you give up on it easily. And he is a man that has made it quite clear that he will not give up and he will not quit and he will continue to do things his way in what he sees is the best possible way that he determines. He's made that quite clear. If you don't accept that, that sounds like a personal problem to you because he's giving you the answer. You don't have to agree with it, but you need to accept what he's saying. You know, a lot of people listen to him. They don't believe him. They think he's lying. I think I don't know what to tell you. I think you're a bit lost. I don't think he's getting up there and he's lying. I think he's been telling you exactly what he wants to do, what he wants, what he sees, what he needs. And he's telling you exactly how he's going to do it. And then he does it through his actions. So, good to see Amorim on the front foot again against the press. Yes, and I think, you know what, he should continue to do this sort of thing. You know, I was worried a little bit a couple of weeks ago because he was giving some press conferences and he seemed a bit defeated. He seemed a bit like not as defiant as sometimes he once was. And I like when the manager is like this. I like when the manager makes strong statements. I like when the manager is defiant in his way. I like when the manager sort of stands up to criticism and is in his, you know, in his laurels about it. Like, this is what he believes. He's allowed to be right or wrong. I don't care. Everybody is right or wrong. I'm right or wrong. I'm not right about everything I say. I'm wrong a lot. I don't care. I don't care. You know, it's not the point that I do this show. It's not the point that I have these conversations with people. It's not, you know, I don't keep a tally. But listen, in the way some things are going, I do feel a bit vindicated in some of the things I'm saying. You know, it's always nice to sort of make your own opinions and thoughts and be a little bit unsure if you're getting things right. And then things tend to play out in a little bit in a certain way. And you go, well, you know what? I was a bit on the money on that one. Considering I'm an outsider. But yeah, I mean, I always like when the managers, it doesn't matter who it is, I like them to be a bit defiant. I like them to sort of stand up to the criticism in the press. And I like when they make strong statements. I think it's emboldening to the team. I think it's emboldening to the club. I think too many times, especially in recent times, you know, United, we just lay down and we decide that to get kicked in the face, and we allow people to kick us in the face and kick dirt on us. And that's not my football club. My football club doesn't do that. Our football club wasn't built on things like that. You know, the other day, yesterday, when we were talking, I said it. I said, you know, I called out these people and I said, listen, I said, everybody wants to talk about standards at this football club. I said, where are your standards telling a 20-year-old not to fight for his place, not to prove the manager wrong? You know, where are your standards? Where are your standards telling him he should quit and give up and leave? Because I've never held that opinion. I've always said that I want Kobbie Mainoo because I believe in him. I want him to stay. I want him to fight. If he goes out on loan, he goes out on loan. To me, it's temporary. If there's something more permanent, then it's permanent. And ultimately, if he chooses to leave, I'll be disappointed in the fact of that. I feel like he has given up. He has quit. I will be disappointed about him because I believe in the kid. And, you know, Roy Keane came out and he said the same thing. And this is one of our greatest captains that we've ever had at the football club, one of our best players. And he has, you know, a strong mentality. And these people, these same people that say we should get Roy Keane in there so that he can shape these players up, but they hate Ruben Amorim. And then he comes out and says this thing against Kobbie Mainoo. Now they want to turn against Roy Keane because of the things he said about Kobbie Mainoo. It's like, you guys don't make sense. You guys don't actually have beliefs. You're just saying a bunch of random bullshit, trying to be popular or whatever, or go against the grain and get a bunch of interaction because you're flip-flopping all over the place always. You know, as soon as Scholes says something, you're backing him. Now Roy Keane says it. You've been asking for Roy Keane to be the manager at this football club so he could whip the players into shape. He says something that you have an opposing view as Kobbie Mainoo, and now all of a sudden Roy Keane is wrong and we shouldn't listen to him. So, you know, and to the point, I even tweeted, you know, and it's not really about the tweet, it's more about the concept. But I said, you know, when Roy Keane made these comments, I know I said a lot about it yesterday, but I also said this, and I said, you know, it's true. I was like, the United mentality, because he said, even if the manager says you won't get ahead of Bruno, prove him wrong. And this is what I believe this football club is about. This is what this football club stands on. This is the basis this football club has been built on. You think about all the times this football club has gone through hard times, adversities. The Munich air disaster, we came back, we fought back from that. Okay, we didn't roll over, lay down. We didn't let those people's lives go to waste. We fought back, came back from that, made ourselves great again. I talked about 99. We went into that Bayern match. There was a lot of hard things going on in 99 along the path to win the Premier League. We had a bunch of setbacks. We didn't lay down and die. We didn't give up. We didn't quit. We didn't say, what's the point? We kept going. We kept persevering. This football club is, you know, you talk about what Manchester United is all about and what it's supposed to be and what are the standards. Those are the standards to me. Those have always been the standards. It's about being defiant. It's about fighting, and it's about succeeding and achieving and not giving up. And, you know, when he said this, I said that this is the true United mentality. And shame on those people telling him to give up, Kobbie Mainoo, to give up, quit, and leave. I said, United is built on when your back is against the wall and the odds are stacked against you, you stand up, fight, achieve, and succeed. And like Sir Alex Ferguson has said, and he has many quotes, but one of them is, never give in or give up easily on a cause. And I think we've lost that along our way and along our path, unfortunately. And we need it back. And, you know, Ruben, I think today what he said, I think he's shown a little bit of essence in that. So that's why I'm going to bring this up in a little bit. He won't get momentum, Kobbie Mainoo, because he's clearly not part of Ruben's plan. Well, I think he is part of the plan, but it depends how do you sort of look at that. I mean, he made comments on Kobbie today. He said he played well in the last match. He also gave him, I think, the most time he's played all season, which was about 30-something minutes plus. So he is, to me, he's in the plans, but it depends how you look at it. You're looking at half glass full, half glass empty. You know, because he's not a starter, because he's not the favorite, you know, you could quite easily say, well, he's not part of the plans. But I can say he is part of the plans because he's still using him. He's just coming on as a sub and he has limited time. He hasn't discarded him. He hasn't thrown him away. And he's not asking for him to be sold because I think he would be sold. So that's not happening. But then you have the other side of what Kobbie wants. And then you have the other side of what all these other people, these fans, and then our ex-players are saying. So I do think he is in the plans. I think there is a plan for him. And I think there is an opportunity to grow. I understand this manager in terms of, I know what he's about. Like, the opportunity is in training. If you're not getting the game time, the opportunity is in training. And I believe this philosophy. And you have to do it in training. And then you will get some sort of opportunity in the match. And then you have to take your opportunity in the match. You know, to the point Roy Keane made yesterday as well. Like, and I've been saying this forever. Because this is what I was taught. This is what I was brought up on. This is what I know to believe is the correct way. If you get 15 minutes, you better make that the best damn 15 minutes you ever played in your fucking life if you want another one. And you have a responsibility as yourself to go do that. You could still be mad at the manager and say, well, I should be getting 30. Okay, well then go out there on the pitch and fucking do something about it and make it happen. Make him give you the 30. You know, if you want to be at this football club, if you want to succeed, we shouldn't be handing you shit. Okay, that's part of the problem that we've had at this football club. We put people on pedestals all the time and we give them all the prizes before they actually earn it. And I don't believe in that. You know, society is a lot like that. Participation trophies and whatnot. It's a bunch of bullshit. It is a bunch of bullshit. I don't believe in that stuff. You don't get a participation trophy. You fucking earn #1 medal, first place, or you're a loser. That's it. So you need to fight. You need to fight. If you want it, and if you actually care and you actually want it, then you need to fight. And you don't give up. And you continue to fight and you continue to fight and you force your way in there. Because that's what winners do. That's what winners do. That's what successful people do. They fight. They don't lay down. They don't give up. And this is why I got mad at these ex-players. I get mad at Scholes and them coming out publicly saying that he should leave. You know, to me, it's a disgrace. You're telling him to fucking quit. You're telling him to quit. That's not United mentality. That is not the United mentality. And that should not be involved with our football club. You should not be telling him to quit this football club just because things aren't going his way right now. You truly believe in this player, you truly believe in his talent, then he should be able to figure out a path through this. Because I don't think Ruben Amorim is a man that can't be convinced. It might take time, it might be a pain in the ass, and it might be a lot of work, but I don't think he's a guy that says, absolutely not, I don't give a fuck what you do, you're done. I don't think so. I've not seen that from him in his entire career as much as I've followed it. from his time at Sporting and now to here. Axe is here. Fox says Amorim is our leader. Missed. Why does the chat do this to me? Andresito says he gaslights a lot. People need to exercise some critical thinking. In my opinion, you're going to tell me Mainoo get outperformed by Casemiro in training and that he doesn't fight? Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, you make that argument. I'll make the counter argument. Who's right? Neither one of us know. We don't do the training, so. I don't make that assumption. I just take what it is at face value, is that he's in charge, he's there with them, and he's making the decisions. I entrust him. I don't think that I'm better than Ruben Amorim. I don't think I'm smarter than him. I don't think I can do the job that he can do, that he's doing. I don't. I'm not one of these people that believe that I can walk into Old Trafford and do this job. I don't have the qualification for it. I'm just a fucking fan. And this is the problem. This is the problem. Everybody thinks they're better than all these guys. You're not, and you don't know what's going on. So I entrust in the manager. I entrust. I listen to this guy speak. I know what he's about, and I truly believe that if you're hitting the levels, you will get on the pitch. Because I've seen him do it before. He's put on 17-year-olds in his starting lineups and played them in the mat. Why? Because they're better than the players that they had in the squad. They were performing to the levels that they could compete in the league. So if you do what you need to do, you will get opportunities. And if you take your opportunities, you will get into the team. And it might not be now, and it might take a few months, or it may take a season. But if you keep at it, you'll get there. It's sort of like that meme with the guy digging, and he quits right at the diamond. It's a lot like that. He quits right before he finds the diamond because he gave up. And he'll never know that he could find the diamond because he gave up. And I don't believe in that sort of stuff. That's not how I was raised. That's not what I was raised on. Mainoo came in during our last match and was the most composed of the entire team should start. Mainoo is a good prospect, says Box, but he is not as good as a lot of fans make out he is. He may develop into a world beater, but that remains to be seen, and he is nowhere near that level right now. Axe says, when will you join my revolution? Never. I'm not joining a revolution. There is no revolution. When there's a revolution to join, I will join a revolution. But until there is a real revolution, there's nothing to join. Damn, you really like Amorim. I like Amorim. I believe that he can do the job. But I am not one of these people that he gets to get excused from all things. I think a lot of things are blown out of proportion. I think a lot of people are wrong about a lot of things. I think there's not a lot of patience. I have patience for people. I do. I have patience for tons of people. Every manager that's been here, I've given them the benefit of the doubt of at least 3 seasons. I try to. But that third final season, you really got to start showing something or you lose me. And I've done it for every manager that's been here. And I will continue to do every manager because I truly believe in my beliefs. Okay? I believe in what I think is correct. And what I think will work and what I think this football club needs. And there's a lot of work here. I don't believe that any manager is going to come in and make it happen. And I also believe that it will take 3 to 4 years at minimum. And I hope, I don't know, but I hope that he can succeed. I don't know if he can. He can easily very well fail. And if he fails, then you got to go. But I'll give him this opportunity. I've given him, other opportunities, as I've given other managers opportunities. I don't really give a shit who's here. I don't. It's not like a personal vendetta. All right. I don't have like this. I'm not like there's no manager FC type of thing here. I don't have an obsession with these guys. I give you time. I give you a platform. Prove us right or wrong. Do your thing. I'll give you as much time as possible. Once it's cooked, it's absolutely cooked. I don't believe it's cooked. A lot of people want to say it's cooked. A lot of people want to talk about 30% win ratio. I don't give a shit about 30% win ratio right now. We're in the middle of a season, and there's the potential that we can get European football. And if we do that, we have maybe something to actually build on and continue. If he can't do that, then we have nothing to build on, and then let's go back to square one or whatever. Mainoo listening to all these fans gassing him up, he's probably even thinks he's Zidane now. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Kids don't win trophies, men do. At face value, Amorim is our worst manager in EPL. Literally any United fan would have done better than him. Amorim isn't a diamond, he is trash, get him out now. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you're wrong. You're wrong. I wish we could play the game. I would love to get the entire Man United fan base in the world, and I'd put them in his job. And I guarantee you, I think it'd be hard to say 100% because I don't like to say never, but 99% nobody is fucking succeeding at this football club. Okay, nobody's succeeding. No, you don't. These people don't have the qualification. You don't have coaching badges. You don't have qualification. You've never managed the team. You don't know what the fuck actually you're supposed to do. You think you do until you get put into that situation. Okay, and then you find out that it's really fucked. All right, so you don't know better than him. Doesn't mean that he's right about everything. Doesn't mean he's not going to get things wrong. He's obviously going to do that. He's inexperienced. But when you compare him to his peers, sure, there's better managers than him. There's more experienced managers, and maybe there's managers that know a lot more than him. But when you speak as a fan, when you speak and you say that you can do a better job than him, I laugh in your face because I know you can't. Because otherwise you do it. Go get the badges. Go do the work, go get there, and go into the Manchester United hot seat, and I'll support you from here. And I'll give you the same amount of backing that I've given all of these managers, every single one of them. Every single one of them. Even when I think that they weren't going to make it, I still gave them the time and backed them. Because you need them to succeed. You need them to succeed for us to move forward. They need to do good. We need to stop it from going backwards. We need it to stop going bad. We need them to succeed. We need them to succeed. No, now you're just speaking nonsense. I'm not going to entertain it. But what I will do is I'm going to pull up the interview and we're going to listen to it together, and I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions, and you guys are going to give your thoughts and opinions as we go along. So let me pull this up on the screen properly. Okay, here he is giving his interview. I'm going to try and do this the best as I possibly can, but I need to hear it in a certain way. So, first question's coming up, and it's going to be about, I believe, Kobbie Mainoo. So, and the T-shirt. So, here we go.
You've been asked a lot about Kobbie Mainoo in recent press conferences. It's kind of unavoidable to not ask you again in the wake of his half-brother wearing a free Kobbie Mainoo T-shirt. Did you see that? Have you spoken to Kobbie about it?
No, it was not Kobbie that wear the T-shirt. He's not going to start because of the T-shirt, but he's not going to the bench because of the T-shirt. He's going to play if we feel that is the right guy to play. So that is not an issue. I'm used to. I'm here for a year. It's not new, so we have to deal with that. But I'm not going to do something to Kobbie because someone on his family is doing something. It's going to be the same. If he's the right guy to play, he's going to play.
Okay. Just on that, I mean, number one, fair statement. I mean, I don't think there's really any other way to handle that. I sort of said the same thing, and I said it after it happened. I don't really blame Kobbie for this. I don't think there's evidence to really, there's been a lot of speculation and stuff like this that, oh, maybe he knew about it. He didn't make a statement after it, this and that. Listen, I give Kobbie the benefit of the doubt. I would find it hard to, or I'd be extremely disappointed if he sort of collaborated with him. And also, I sort of mentioned to the points as well that there's only so much he can do. Like, that guy's his own human being. If he wants to be a prat, if he wants to be a dickhead and show up to matches wearing free Kobbie shirts and, bring a fucking banner, there's only so much Kobbie can do about it. Maybe he's giving him tickets. Maybe he stops giving him tickets. But if he finds a way to get tickets and show up into the stadium, what are you going to do about it? And I also said, I don't think it would be an issue between Kobbie and the manager. I don't think it probably will even get spoke about as long as Kobbie is coming to training and doing what Kobbie is supposed to be doing as a professional player and giving his all, which I think he's doing. I give him the benefit of the doubt as well to that because I don't know. I'm not in the training, but I would like to think that's what he's doing. And I think Ruben, I don't think he was ever going to take it against him in that manner. And we'll see. We'll see. you know, as always, I give benefit of the doubt. He said that he's not going to take it against him and that, you know, he's going to continue doing what he's doing. If he feels like he is the correct player to play in the matches at certain times, then he will play. And if he doesn't, then he won't play him, which is what he's been doing this whole entire time. Whether you like it or not, that is the answer, like the end. He is telling you what he's doing, and that's it. You don't have to agree with it, but you have to accept that that is his thought process and that is his answer to the whole thing. That's what it is. So, but there's more. So there's some parts in here. I don't know if we're gonna go over all of them.
Hi, Ruben. In terms of this game, Villa obviously won, I think.
So I kind of want to skip this because he's talking about the game. And we don't really need to cover that. There's bigger parts in this. So let me fast forward. Okay, so here we go. This is another Kobbie part.
Afternoon, Ruben. Not to go back to Kobbie, but have you had conversations with him about this situation? How has he been this week? Because it comes off the back of him actually playing the most minutes he has in recent weeks.
And he played really well. So that is the important thing. And then my office is always open. Nobody went there this week, so I think everything is normal. We are ready to go to Villa.
And you talked about being at the club for a year and having to deal with situations like this. I mean, how have you found that off the back of also this week, Bruno's interview from a few weeks ago came out with some quotes. I know he did another interview with the club as well with Ruben Fernandes, but it's just another situation that I suppose you have to deal with.
The difference is that he spoke with the club before that interview and he said what he's feeling. Of course, we can avoid these things because we already know the noise, but he talked with the board, and I think everything is clear.
Okay. I mean, again, he didn't have a conversation with Kobbie about it. I didn't think he was going to because it just seems a bit silly. In terms of that, I don't think Kobbie really had anything to do with it. He then obviously talked about Bruno Fernandes and his statements. But listen, like he talks about his door is open. He said this before. He said this multiple times. And he goes on to later talk about this, and we're going to get to this. Like, he has made it abundantly clear that any player at any time can come talk to him about any situation they want, and they're not doing so. And there's a bigger underlying issue here, okay? That these guys, they do feel entitled to supersede the manager, and that is fucking wrong. Regardless of whoever the fucking guy is, whatever his win ratio is, I don't give a shit. There is a hierarchy at this football club, and there is a proper way to conduct yourself as a professional footballer, and you never, ever, 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 ever are allowed to go above the manager. You cannot supersede the manager in any way, and if you do, you don't belong at this football club. I don't care who you are. I don't give a shit if you won us 7 trebles in a row. You can get the fuck out of my football club. You don't embody what it's supposed to be. It would never be acceptable under Sir Alex Ferguson. It shouldn't be acceptable under any manager. And it's not acceptable at any football club, for that matter of fact. So I don't want it happening at our football club. It should not be happening. And I'm sick and tired of these people taking the corner of these players because they don't like this manager, so they allow them free reins to do whatever the fuck they want. And then they want to cry and bitch and moan, why do we have mentality issues and problems in our football club? You are part of the problem. You are part of the problem. I have never, ever, 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 ever taken a player's side over the manager, because it's just not how it works. The manager, I might disagree. I might think the manager has handled the situation poorly, but if a player reacts in a certain way, you want to go on social media, you don't want to handle it like a man and go speak to the guy. The manager does press conferences. He speaks to the press, okay? That is his job. It's part of his job. You are a player. You mostly don't do that. Mostly, unless the manager brings you there with him to do a pre-match press conference, or you're asked after the match, you do a little press conference, a little talk about the match. Otherwise, it is not your responsibility, and it is not your job to go make individual statements on social media or by other means about the manager or anybody else at this football club. That's not your role. Your role is to play the fucking game and succeed on the pitch. Point, blank, and center. That's it. Now,
But one of the things that he did say in the interview that he did with the Portuguese Federation was that he didn't think
this is
that
about Bruno.
everybody-
We don't really need to cover Bruno. We don't need to cover Bruno. I wish they had this. Okay, here we go. This is the other
When we saw
part.
you in the summer in Chicago, you talked about organising the leadership group because there were things last season that ended up on your desk that perhaps you didn't want to end up on your desk, that they could just be solved in the dressing room. Is this issue with Kobbie one of those things that you don't necessarily have to get involved, but maybe the leadership group pulling to one side and just say, look, like...
No, it's continue a little bit everything on my desk. Every problem in our football club is still me that has to deal with that, but this will take time. But again, my door is always open, and there was not Kobbie. The job of Kobbie is to train and to play. I felt that he did really well this game. So that is the most important thing for me. If he has to play, he's going to play. If he's not going to play, he's not going to play.
I mean, it's plain and simple. I don't really understand what people don't really get about it. I don't. He literally is telling you the answer that you keep asking and you keep saying, but you don't want to accept it. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you, man. I don't. It's plain and simple. Like, does he have to speak fucking Mandarin or something? Is English not good enough? Does he have to speak a different language for you to understand it? Should he do it in Portuguese? You know, it's quite clear. And then everybody else wants to go run off on their own little world things and live in not reality. I mean, it's quite clear. It's quite clear what he believes. It's quite clear what the plan is. It's quite clear the way he's going. Okay? There's not some hidden thing where he hopes Kobbie's career dies or whatever. I don't know what these fucking conspiracy theories that these people come up with, but it's quite plain and simple. And again, he mentioned that, my door is open. And listen, it's not on Kobbie. He said Kobbie played well, and Kobbie will play when I choose Kobbie to play. He is the fucking manager. That is the end of the story. The end of the story. He is the manager. He makes the decisions. That's how the hierarchy, that's how it goes in football. If you have a problem with that, well, then I will tell you, don't support a club, support the player, and when the player leaves our football club, you can follow them out the fucking door to wherever they go. Because that's it. These people, I've had enough of them, and I don't really give a fuck anymore. I don't. I tried to be polite about it for a while, but I'm not having it anymore with these people, because I think there is a sickness in this fan base and there is a disease, and it needs to be fucking called out, and it needs to end. It needs to end. So, to continue, he now goes to speak on about the youth, because as we had when he mentioned Harry Amos and Cheeto and these others in the other press conference, they then decided to go on Instagram as sort of a shade post and put up pictures of themselves in sort of a response without words, right? So here's this bit.
Harry Amos posts on social media. I mean, what do you make of that? It seems quite petty.
I think it's the feeling, a little bit the feeling of entitlement that we have in our club.
Boom.
And sometimes strong words is not bad words. Sometimes difficult moments is not the bad things for the kids. We don't need to be always with accolades in everything, in every situation. We are not helping. That's why you guys talk about a lot of players nowadays that they speak and they go against the clubs and everything happened because they feel entitlement. And then you have legends of the club saying that if you don't play, leave.
Yep.
Because everyone is wrong. No, let's think about, let's stay, let's fight, let's overcome. Maybe the manager is wrong.
Thank you.
So I have that feeling all the time that we need to fight against this feeling. And again, sometimes I'm the first one to say that I'm failing this club inside the pitch. I have that feeling. We are not performing the way we should be. But outside the pitch, I guarantee you I'm not failing to this club. So I think it's something in our club, and we talk about the players sometimes forget about what it means to play for Manchester United. We as a club sometimes forget who we are, and that's the feeling that I have. So I understand everything. Is the environment, is the moment of the players, the kids. They feel entitled. They feel free to respond the manager with a picture. My office is open. Nobody is coming to talk to me, and that is the way we can solve things. So I think we need to change first as a club, and then everything is going to change.
So would you?
Thank you. Thank you. Whoever asked him that question, thank you. Honestly, because that's literally the answer that we need. That was the answer that we need. I agree 110 fucking % with everything he said. He is right on the money, and I don't care if you like him or not. That's pure facts, pure, undisputed facts. You cannot. There's no argument against that whole quote there. There is a zero argument against it. Okay? Because I've been saying it, other people have been saying it, and the rest of them have been on the opposite side of that. And I'm glad he directly addressed it, okay? I literally did a whole rant yesterday on this. I did a whole rant on this before he even opened his fucking mouth about it, okay? Ex-players telling people to quit and leave this football club. That is not the United way. It is not. It is a fucking disgrace to do such a thing. I'm glad he called it out, and I'm glad he said it. And that, to me, is an absolute mic drop. Absolute mic drop. And I would like for him to do these things more, actually, because he should. He should. Because you know what? He's going to get things wrong, but everybody wants to make it seem like he's gotten everything massively wrong, and he's fucking not, okay? Nobody wants to accept that the youth ain't good enough. All right, at this current moment in time, but everybody wants them to play. You're wrong. You're wrong. You've been wrong. You're going to be wrong. You are on the wrong path. 110%. This guy, and this is why I disagree with Paul Scholes. I mean, he said he doesn't get the club. He doesn't get what it's all about. I don't know. That sounds like he understands what the club is all about to me. Why, you know, what is this entitlement that these players have? Because that's what it is. You feel entitled. You feel entitled that you can go and make a social media post about the manager. Why? Because he's a 30% win ratio? Tough fucking shit. Who are you? You ain't accomplished nothing. You're not anything, bro. You didn't win a championship. You didn't do anything. You didn't win us a Premier League. And even if you did, that still doesn't give you the right. Look at Mo Salah. He's done more, arguably, for Liverpool than Baldy over there. Okay? You still can't do what he did. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And anybody advocating for it to work the other way, well, good luck to you when this sport is absolutely fucking gone and finished. Because you're going down the wrong path. You want United to succeed. You're trying to take the club in the wrong direction. Okay? This is where we've gone wrong in this fan base massively. This player FC bullshit and attacking and going at all the managers and picking the player's side over the manager. You cannot big up the players. They haven't accomplished anything. They are nothing. They are nothing. The guys we have are nothing. They have not done anything. They have not accomplished anything. They are not winners. They don't have any money in the bank. I don't give a fuck if they have all the potential in the world. What have you accomplished to even have the inkling of a feeling that you can even go above your superior? Okay? If this was the army, you'd get fucking banished, kicked out, punished. There is an order to things in the world. You can't just cheat your way, cut corners, and become superstar. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Players are world class, eclipsing Amorim on any aspects related to football. Imagine having to follow the indications of incompetence. Listen, they're not world class, bro. They're not. They're not. Gen Z is a fucking lost generation. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, all right? Gen Z thinks they have all the answers, and I tell you what, Gen Z is going in a very wrong fucking direction. How about that? How about that? These guys don't have what it takes. They're all babies. All of them are babies. Every single one of them are babies. The second, some sort of adversity comes, they cry. They bitch, they complain. Oh, I'm being treated unfair. Oh, this isn't fair. Oh, I should already have this. Oh, why do I have to work so hard for this? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I didn't grow up with that, and I don't accept that in an overall society form. That's little kid. That's weak little kid shit. That's soft. That's soft. You're soft. Okay? Grow up. Grow up. Fight. You know, the world is a very, it's not all rainbows and cotton candy, dude. It's a very cutthroat place. You either eat or be eaten. You know, and they don't have this mentality. They don't. At the first sign of adversity, they start playing the victim. Oh, I'm the victim. Oh, he's unfair. Oh, he's mad at me. Oh, I don't have a chance. Oh, I can't do anything. It's the system. It's this guy. It's, you know, I'm being held against my, you know, just cut the bullshit. Cut the bullshit. Shut up. Put in the work. Work hard, and you'll get fucking rewarded like the entire world has gone about for fucking thousands of years already, okay? That's what it is. That was Luckhurst asking the question. He is good at talking, still lowest winning percent. Thanks a lot for telling me what we want to hear, Sherlock. Win every match and all our problems will disappear. Yeah, there is a process, Sherlock, to doing that. Sherlock, there's a process to doing it, bro. Does he not have games in front of him? Can he not listen? If he has, if this season goes well, does that win percentage ratio not go up? And if he gets us into Europe and we get more players and better players and we have a better season the next season, does the win ratio not go up? If he succeeds, does it not go from 30 to 60? He can easily do that. If he does it, different question. But he can do it. He can. Or he can fail. Or he can fail. Bro, Scholes isn't entitled. He is our best centre mid in history. Bro, nobody said Scholes is entitled. We're talking about the players that have been in our football club that want to act like self-centered assholes and think they are better than they actually are. And think that they are bigger than the club and that they think that they are bigger than the manager. When, listen, even if the manager is not good, you ain't good either. You haven't accomplished anything, bro. I'm sorry. I love Kobbie Mainoo, and I think he could be a top-class player, but what the fuck has he accomplished? Has he won us a Premier League? Is he a champion of any sorts? No, he is not. He is a 20-year-old that needs to take his time to earn his spot. And Harry Amos and Cheeto Obi, they're even worse because they're not even in the situation that Kobbie got. They played a couple games for United, which he gave them some chances in. He says something about them. And instead of being men and adults and having a strong character and maybe calling up the manager or going to talk to him and say, listen, why did you make those comments about me? And have a conversation about them. They run to Instagram to go to their little friends online, their little fanboys, and put up a picture of me holding the Player of the Month award so I could feel good about myself and get this support from these people that just gas you up because they suck your toes, man. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right? These like... It's all inflated egos, bro. It's all inflated egos. This is why we have a problem at our football club. Sure, the Glazers are involved and everybody else. Yeah, that, you know, they're part of it. But the fans, these guys, they want to big up the players and take the players' side no matter what it is just because they hate the manager. They're breaking the rules of this football club. They're breaking the rules that Sir Alex Ferguson used to say in that no player can ever be bigger or supersede the manager or the club, and he is 100% right on that. Because that's how football has been successful. That's how every team has been successful for the fucking beginning of time of the sport. So, nobody said Scholes is entitled. He's talking about the players. Again, see, this is what I'm saying. You're not listening, and now you're making things up. Nobody said Paul Scholes is entitled. What would that even mean, that Paul Scholes is entitled? Paul Scholes has nothing to do with anything. He's not our player. The players are entitled. They feel like they can do whatever they want. They feel like they can go and do whatever they want. They feel like they don't have to prove the manager wrong. That is bad. That is very bad. Do I have to speak in like fourth grade reading level? You know, because I will do it. Instead of here's our best sentiment in history. He understands he's not 100%. Amorim obviously lost in space. He's learning along the way and has a lot to improve if players talk to. Bro, but you don't see the dysfunction is that these guys they're not men enough, yeah? They don't have the character in them, bro. Listen, it's gutless to take a picture of yourself and put it on Instagram so people can comment and be like, we support you. The manager is a dickhead. Blah, 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 blah. You're the best in the world. And then you sit there and you look at all the comments and you go, that's right. I am the best in the world. Fuck that guy. You know what takes balls? To go into his office, look him in the eyes and be like, hey, why did you say this about me? I don't appreciate that. And sit there face to face with him and have a conversation. And they don't do this because they don't have the balls. They don't have the character to be at this football club. So you want to attack this guy? I'm going to attack them. I'm going to do the same thing that these people do and I'm going to flip it back around on them because it's a bunch of fucking nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. It is. Their logic has holes in it. By far. Massive holes. Massive holes. Scholes hasn't got a clue, says Box, about how to be a manager, how to coach, how to manager, etc. He said himself he doesn't really study or watch a lot of football these days. Well, there you go. I mean, I've never seen him say that, but if he said that, that's just makes him look a little bit more like an idiot. I mean, listen, he's a legend of this football club, and he could use his time and experience that he was here as a player and what he learned from Sir Alex. Sure, that's helpful and he can talk about that and he can use that knowledge. But at the same time, you know, very good points by Box. And I would make the same. I mean, you're not a manager. You don't know what it takes. You tried it. You failed horribly because you basically didn't even get off the ground. So there's a lot of things, again, like I'll respect some of the things he says. I respect him as a former legend, not a former legend, a legend, but a former player of this club. And I don't have to agree with him. And just because I think his opinions are shit or wrong doesn't change anything about what I think about him as a player. But I ain't holding his status as a player to then that means every word he says is Bible and God, because it ain't. It ain't. Because where is he? Why isn't he one of the best managers in the world? If he knows everything and he's so good and he's so great because he was such a great player, why isn't he a top man? Why isn't he managing us right now? Why isn't he bringing us back to the top? Why isn't he having us win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues? And why isn't he doing the things that he's talking about? Because he can't. Because he doesn't actually have the skill set to be able to do it. So when I see somebody like that, yeah, you could be a great player. And some of the things you can say, sure, you might be right about them. But when you go to criticize the manager, I mean, you're not a fucking manager either. And you're nowhere near it. And you never been. So you know what? I ain't going to really listen to you about that. Not. Sorry. Sorry, but you don't have the qualifications to talk about that guy's job. You didn't do it. You can't do it. You failed at it. That's it. But these momos want to run around and talk about the system, the formation. I know more because I play Football Manager 26 and I've won undefeated and I play EAFC and, you know, I'm so good. I'm so good. I could do a better job. I'm like, dude, just listen, let's go. Let's put you in the pod. We'll hook you up to the VR and you can live out whatever fantasy you want and leave the common sense, logical people alone in the real world to, you know, we'll live a happy life. And you guys could go in the pod. We'll feed you the bugs and all that shit. And, or we'll give you the virtual reality headset and you could just go in there and pretend all you want. And then just leave us alone. Leave us alone. Sincerely, his process is dysfunction on 87%, but bro, our club is dysfunction on 100%, my guy. Again, I will never agree with you on this. You pin it all on him. Bro, our club was dysfunction With this guy here, dysfunction with Ten Hag here, dysfunction with fucking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer here, dysfunction with Mourinho here, dysfunction with Van Gaal, dysfunction with Moyes. It's dysfunction. The club has to get its shit together, and you can only do it by going through a process. The process is a painful one. It's a pain in the ass. And when you make progress, progress isn't you start here and you shoot to the fucking moon like you're an astronaut. Progress is you go up a little bit, you go like this, you might go down a little bit, you go back up. You know, sort of like, I don't know, look at the stock market or something. Does it just go fucking like straight up? Is it straight up? No, it goes up, goes down, goes up a little bit higher, goes back down a little bit, goes back up. That's progress. And when you're dealing with dysfunction, our whole club is dysfunction. The whole club is dysfunction. The whole club. Lucky says, has Kobbie achieved anything? Has not. Well, the point is, listen, I don't want to go too hard on Kobbie because I don't even think it's that big of a deal. My bigger issue is people like Harry Almost and Cheeto doing what they did. Because I don't even think Kobbie did that to that extent. I don't even think the Kobbie thing is as big as people are making it out to be. I think as long as Kobbie decides to not quit, I think everything will work out fine. Because I believe in Kobbie Mainoo, and I think he'll make it. As long as he continues to put in the work, the hard work and effort, I truly 110% believe he will come out on the other side, and he will be a main stake in Ruben Amorim's team. Might not be now, might not be in 3 months, but I would definitely be looking forward for next year for sure, 100%. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't, and we got to go with what happens at that time. But as of right now, I believe in that kid 110%. So I believe he can make it at this football club. I don't want to see him leave this football club. And I think he can make it into Ruben Amorim's team. I do. And I think Ruben will continue to give him the opportunities that he deems necessary. And he needs to take them. And that's all that is. That's all that is. You know, life is tough. Life is very tough. Okay? You can't always get the way things that you want. All right? And things don't always go your way. And sometimes it's very shit. And sometimes it's not your fault. And sometimes, yeah, you know what? Maybe the guy in charge of you is a fucking asshole. Maybe he is a dickhead. Maybe he is wrong. Tough shit, bro. Suck it up and get on with it. It happens. It's called life. It's called life, dude. You know, how many times I've worked for people. They belittle you. They put you in a shit position. And there's many times I've failed in life. Why? Because I fucking just let it. I just let it. I accepted it. And it was wrong. It was wrong. You know? And I could sit there all day and say, he's a fucking asshole. He's a dickhead. It's his fault. It's his fault. But at the end of the day, it's my fault. It is my fault because I gave up. I was the one that stopped pushing. I was the one that accepted what they told me or where they put me. It was my fault. Okay? And it's the same thing for these guys. Same thing for them. You don't like what he said in the press conference? Good. Go on the pitch, go score 3 goals, or do something. Do something amazing. Do something so amazing that you make him look like an idiot, that he feels like an idiot himself, and that then he has to rethink what he's fucking doing. That's it. Plain and simple. There's nothing else to really discuss. That is the proper order of being a footballer, man. There's winners, potential winners, and then there's losers. And that's it. Okay? And if you're a potential winner, you gotta fight, man. You gotta fight. You gotta fight. You look at Ronaldo, you think he gave up at any point in his life? You think he didn't have any, hardships or anything like that? Bro was poor as shit. Fought through the whole thing, even when he came to United. When he first came in, yeah, he got opportunities, but it wasn't like he just came in and he took over right away. He's coming off the bench. There was a couple matches where, he might have started, then he didn't start. Matches where he didn't play good, and other people are now being put in front of him. It didn't stop him. Because he believed in himself, and 2, he had a goal to work towards, and 3, he wasn't going to fucking let nobody tell him no. But these people, and this is why Ronaldo makes the same statements, because it's a fact. It's a truth. These people, these kids, these young fucking guys today, especially in the sports, they're too quick to give up. They're too quick to play the victim. Too quick. Scholes speaks from pure emotion as a Manchester United fan. And listen, he does. He does. And that would be a recipe for disaster as a manager. He also views things through a romantic Fergie era lens, which is all he ever knew. Listen, and it doesn't have to be the Paul Scholes show either, because, listen, Paul Scholes is not the only one. Gary Neville has said things, and so has everybody else. And some of our ex-legends, I prefer their way. I mean, Roy Keane is very harsh on people. He happened to say something that lines up with what I was saying about Kobbie Mainoo, but he's very harsh as well. Sometimes I agree with it. Sometimes I think he's fucking, out of it. Okay? I don't agree and disagree with everybody on everything always. Like, people will say things, and sometimes I think they're right, and sometimes I think they're really fucking wrong about things. And that's just how I am. And it doesn't matter who you are. I don't care. Like, Ruben could have came out in this this is an extreme sort of thing, but Ruben could have came out in this press conference and he could have literally just been like, fuck these kids and fuck them all, and they're never playing for this football club again, and I'm never going to give them any opportunities, they're fucking shit. He could have said things like that. Now, if he said that, I would be like, yeah, you see, Dad, I don't agree with you. You can't fucking say that, and you can't do that. And no. Like, there's certain things. Like, if he came out and said certain things, I can't think of the things on the top of my head. But if he says some shit that I don't agree with, I ain't gonna fucking agree with that. I don't care. His name is Ruben Amorim. I don't give a fuck. I'm not like that. Maybe other people are like that in the world, but I ain't like that. I've never been like that, and I never will be. Scholes is a legend of a player, 100%. Of course he is. And that doesn't change just because he says something. That will never change my opinion. He is, for me, he's one of the best midfielders, if not the best midfielders to ever fucking play the game, dude. I loved watching him play. I emulated part of my game from him. I learned a lot from watching him. I did. That none of that changes just because I disagree completely 100% with what he's saying about Kobbie Mainoo or what he says about Ruben Amorim or those comments he made. It doesn't, and it never will. But just because he speaks doesn't mean we have to listen. If we worked on that basis, Charlton says best would have all been our most successful managers. Well, Lucky says fuck all the pundits. Yep, a lot of the former players are the same. Well, listen. I didn't even finish this whole thing, but dude, the point of the basis is because, bro, dude, I go online and I look at the conversations that are being had, and it's listen. When I say this, it's not like I see one post. I'm talking about like. You go into like all these major sort of, accounts that are posting stuff about United. And if you click under every single one, you see like a lot of people or certain people, there's a lot of sort of a certain amount of reoccurring themes. Okay. And bro, and I see these things, I'm like, these people, this fan base has lost its fucking mind. They've lost their fucking mind in what they're saying, and they don't know what they're talking about, and they're not living in reality. They're not basing anything in facts. They're not looking at anything, and it's all agenda driven anyway. Like, it's all agenda driven anyway. I just want United to succeed. We have a guy here right now that still has an opportunity to do so. I hope he does it. If he doesn't, well, then guess what? Get sacked and tough shit. Where is in the basis of my argument of what I'm saying? Because Andresito's saying, I love this guy. Well, I don't know if I love this guy. I think I would just be begging for him to never get sacked. I don't give a fuck. But there are circumstances, principles, and things that I abide by and believe in. So I don't have some like weird love for Ruben Amorim. I see them calling them Amorim sexuals. Like, you guys are jackasses. I mean, maybe there are some people that are, I guess you would say, Amorim sexuals. I don't agree with those people either. That's fucking weird. It's weird. It's weird to 100% agree with everything that somebody says at all times, always. That's fucking weird. I will never do it. I will never do it. Now, I don't know if I finished this. Richard John, evening, Eric. Still looking good in the 78-inch. Well, listen, I need to mind my language a little bit. All right, I've been cursing a little bit too much, and Richard's putting me on the 78-inch TV with the speakers. His wife's gonna hear me, and I don't want his wife to think that I'm some sort of degenerate or something like that. So I need to tone it down. You just joined into a very hot. Richard, I've just gone on a rant for like very heated. So I need to tone it down. And I knew this was coming because when I heard it, it fired me up, and I knew this was going to happen. So that's why I said in the beginning of the show that this was going to happen anyway. So hit the like, guys. Yes, please smash the like button. I don't know. I haven't been really keeping up on that, but thank you to everybody that has hit the like button. And I think there was a couple more things that we needed to go through. I don't know if I finished this press conference, to be exact. There might have been an extra part in here or two, so let's just finish this out.
If they actually did come into you and seek an explanation rather than going on Instagram.
Everything. But I didn't say nothing wrong. I just spoke about how
let's rewind a little bit.
Everything is going to change.
So would you appreciate it if they actually did come into you and seek an explanation rather than going on Instagram?
Everything.
Fellow
But
countrymen.
I didn't say nothing wrong. I just spoke about how the luck of playing for Manchester United. And sometimes you play for Manchester United and you go see a different realities, and you understand that football can be so different, and that you are really lucky to be in Manchester United. That was my point. But again, let's move on, and with the time that I think these things will change.
Okay, he was just talking about there real quick. He was just talking about the fact of, some of these comments that he made. It still doesn't answer for saying, like, he didn't directly address saying, like, Harry Almas is struggling, but I think he tried to clarify. Again, English is not his first fucking language, so the fact that he can even speak like this, which is good enough where you can sort of understand what he's saying, is well, because, I mean, it's not his first language. It's not really a language that he's had to speak. Really, I mean, he was in Portugal the whole time. His whole time he was in Portugal. He just speak Portuguese. So he was trying to clarify that it was more about the situation. I think what he should have done was maybe just been like, I didn't mean to say in the way that it came out. I don't know if he's even aware of that, or maybe he doesn't care, or maybe, whatever it is. But he obviously he tried to sort of clarify that, he was talking about situational things at Manchester United. And he is right to a certain extent. Like, bro, you are fortunate and lucky to play for this football club. It should mean a lot. So it should mean something to you. You even had the captain, Bruno Fernandes, saying something similar. Like in the interview that he did for Portugal, did he not say something similar where he said, I look around me, and you get a sense of a feeling that some of these other people around me, my fellow teammates, they don't fight, and they don't protect, and they don't defend the club as hard as me, and it's frustrating. There is a reoccurring theme here, dude. And this is the whole point I'm trying to say. If you don't want to take it from fucking Ruben, well, there's Ronaldo. If you don't want to take it from Ronaldo, well, there's Bruno. If you don't want to take it from Bruno, there's other people. They've been saying this. But because you have an agenda, because you dislike Ruben, everything he says is false and fake and doesn't make sense and it doesn't work. And then, I don't like Ronaldo, so I'm not going to listen to him. Like, bro, there is a reoccurring theme here. I pick up on patterns. That's what I do. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think they exist to a certain degree. If something random happens once in a blue moon, sure, it could be a coincidence. But if it's 2, 3, 4, 5 times, some people say, well, it's just, some sort of a coincidence. No, there's something there that's making that happen. There's a reason why a pattern is forming. There is a reason why we've been talking about player power for 12 fucking years. There is a reason why we say the culture at this football club is fucked up. It's, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have the manager that you dislike come out and say and call these things out, and now you choose to ignore it because you hate him, because you think he's dumb and you think he's a bad manager. Even if he is a bad manager, I'll literally sit here and say, he's a bad manager. Great. That doesn't mean what he's saying isn't fucking true, though. There's many aspects to being a manager. So he can come out in a press conference and tell you things. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. Doesn't mean that it's lies. Doesn't mean that he's making it up. And this is where these people hold these opinions that drive me crazy. Because it's like, I don't know what the fuck is going on in your brain, man. Eric, did you clock Luckhurst asking that question about social media? Yeah, we went over it, didn't we? Are you talking about the one where but I didn't know that was Luckhurst, so I don't sometimes I remember their voices and sometimes I don't. So I mean, I listened to this like a good 3 or 4 times. I didn't realize it was him until you told me. So but listen, they should ask him these questions. They should ask him more of these questions. They should. Like, there's conversations that are happening in the fan base. I think they should literally, doing their job, they should actually go on social media, look at the big talking points. Don't go crazy with it. Don't ask 75 questions about Kobbie Mainoo. But, you know, when certain things are happening and there's discussions, take it to the manager. I would like to hear his fucking answer. And I think the answer needs to be had. And it needs to be said by the manager. And sometimes they don't do it. And sometimes they do. So I think these questions that they asked him today, I think they were good questions that we have received very good answers. And I think this is beneficial across all over the spectrum. Because I think you need the manager to come out and make these sorts of statements. And he needs to address these sorts of things that are obviously very hyperbolic and very talked about in the fan base. And this needs to be addressed. This needs to be addressed. It needs to be on the record, number one, in what he's saying. And then number two, it's got to be followed up with actions. So, because a lot of people, they might not see it in the you know, in front of them, but later on, like, and I do tend to believe, you know, sort of the same aspects in that little things, we got to change them over time. This is how improvements are made. This is how progress is made, real progress, real movements. You change little things little by little over time. And then, you know, later on when you get down the path, a little bit of time becomes a longer time. You look back and you go, well, wow, look how it was at that time. Look how it is now, you know? And, you know, some things have changed in this aspect. And definitely we have to continue, regardless of this man that's on the screen over here next to me, okay? Regardless of him, we still need to continue to try and fix the culture, fix the mentality, fix everything. And this is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not about him. It's not about him. It's never really about the guy. Because there are so many things that supersede this manager that if we don't fix them and we don't figure out how to fix them and we don't address them, we ain't going anywhere. And we're not going to be Manchester United. We're not. Bro. Okay. Bro, CR7 is not a rapist, bro. Don't be saying things like that. You know, he could sue you for that. You don't have any proof about that. He's not a rapist, bro. It's what are you, guilty till proven innocent? It's innocent till proven guilty. Has he been found guilty of that? Okay, no. So he's not, bro, he's not a rapist, bro. He's not a rapist. Lucky says it's our duty to win games. Football for any manager. Harry Maguire fit. I like this one. Well, we need him back for sure. I mean, we could use a little bit of mentality. You know, we've been talking a lot about this show about sort of perseverance, fighting, battling, and you know, I've said this for loads of times, and people still attack me for sort of supporting Maguire or sort of being okay if he sticks around this football club. Yeah, because I value people that stay stuck in the mud and fight through it and then come out on the other side. I think that is an exceptional sort of thing to do. I think it's a quality that you can't really buy. It's something that you have to, actually, not that you can't really buy. It's something that you have to earn. It's something that you have to fight for. And it's something that the majority of people on this planet don't have. So when I see people have it, I gravitate towards it because I view it as something special. Okay? It's not, the majority of people don't have those qualities. So I used to give Harry Maguire a lot of shit. I used to say Harry Maguire is finished. I used to say really bad things about Harry Maguire, to be quite honest. And at one point, it got really bad. But this was years ago. I've matured a little bit and I've gotten older. So I'm not in the same sort of space that I once was. But I used to say things along the lines of, Harry is dog shit and he's never going to get better. And, I used to make fun of him all the time. And I used to fucking, put up stupid memes of him on the internet and all types of shit. And, for example, there was a report that came out one time. I think it was about two years ago or so, once he started sort of having this, resurgence. And there was a report that said that Harry Maguire is doing like 7 days of training. He's doing like an extra 3 hours of training a day on his own. And it was before it was before the season started. And I had a tweet and I called them out for it and it went massive. And I'm talking about massive. Like it had like 50,000 likes, thousands of retweets. And it was just me basically like, bro, you can train fucking 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You ain't going to get better. You're shit. You're going to be fourth choice forever, because that's just how I felt. I was like, bro, I don't see anything from this guy to prove to me. And I also fed into the narrative of, listen, it wasn't his fault that he kept getting picked, but I was sick and tired of him continuing to get picked. It's not his fault. It's fucking Ollie's, because he kept picking him no matter what. But I was like, bro, you get beat too easily. You're embarrassing. You're always fucking up. At the time, you don't embody what a Manchester United player is. Okay? You fast forward, the way I view it, he's come out on the other side of this. And I give him a ton of respect. And I apologized for those things. And I was wrong. And I was wrong. And he has gotten better. And now I view him as a different player. Because now I view him as somebody that actually, he's been through a lot of adversity. He stuck with it. He didn't quit. He could have left Manchester United. United were looking to kick him out. I was actually one that I was like, go. He didn't. And he's actually turned it around. And actually, he has a really strong mentality. And actually, he has a really good attitude about things. And those things you can't necessarily buy. And I actually think he's grown a lot as well, as a person, as a player. Because I don't think he actually necessarily had... I think he had a basis of those qualities. But I think when he first came in, he definitely 100% struggled. He struggled with the captaincy. He struggled to deal with the pressure. He struggled to deal with, the criticism, the demand. He played that bad because he was sinking. And it got to the point where it was like fight or flight. Like, he lost the captaincy. It was stripped from him. Nobody liked him. Nobody wanted him at this football club. And he could have easily just went, well, I fucking lost and that's it. It's over. And, I quit and I'll just go somewhere else and I'll get out of here because I don't want to be here. And he didn't do that. And he's come back out on the other side of it. And now it's like, some people still hate him because he's slow or he's Harry Maguire. They'll never forgive him for, those few years, or they just don't rate him as a player. And I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he's like the greatest center back in the world now. But what I'm saying is that, like, bro, if we had what he's given us in the last sort of 2 years, if we had that from the beginning, I don't think nobody would be talking about it in this way. I don't think it would have went to the extent of how it went, And this is what I'm talking about, these players. Like, this is why I value it. I'm like, bro, we can't replace that at this football club. That's why I have a hard time in saying, like, maybe Maguire should go. I can understand it from an age point of view. We have to move on. We need the future. He's not really the future. But at the same time, when I look at players like him, I look at players like Casemiro, I'm like, but how do you replace that mentality? How do you replace that attitude? How do you replace that grit, that fight? Because I'm looking at these other players and I'm like, they don't fucking have it. So if we get rid of the players that do have it, what are we left with? You know, we don't have enough of it. We need more of it. Now, maybe there's some players out there that do have it, and we got to go get them. And I've sort of been making that argument as well. Like, I think, you know, Cunha, he's got a fiery attitude. I think he sort of has it. I think Mbeumo has it in a certain way as well. Like, these guys we've gotten in. But now we also, you know, listen, they have to get adjusted to United life. You know, Cunha, you can have that. But it's very, and you could be adjusted to Premier League. But you go from Wolves to Manchester United, it ain't the fucking same, man. It ain't the same. It's massive. United is massive. You know, you could be all right at Wolves. Everything's all hunky dory. You know, you're on top of the world. You come to United, you don't have a decent GA. All of a sudden, you got hundreds of thousands of people fucking calling you out, calling you shit. But that's just part of the football club. We're massive. We have high standards. I get that, but this is a tough place to be, and it takes special sort of people, and not everybody is going to succeed here. It's just plain facts, man. Nah, for real now, read the article in the German tabloid. What do you think he paid the lady to end the process? Well, because I'm not going to get into that. Look, Eric, I just want Manchester United to be Manchester United again. So do I. So do I. And I'm saying that we need to go through a process, and the process is a painful one, and it's one that sucks. And it's one that, listen, nobody wants to hear me say this. Nobody wants it to take time. But I think regardless, it takes time. I think to, you know, last time me and you, Richard, we had a little bit of a disagreement about, you know, what makes Manchester United great, or, you know, whatever. And I was talking about success. And listen, but like, the thing is, like, to be successful, it is always a process, no matter who you are, where you are, and what you do. And if you take examples, you know, it's always the hardest, longest road. Now, people don't want to hear me talk about time because we have the shitty Glazers in charge of our football club. And unfortunately, these stupid, greedy bastards have, you know, they've played a hand in this destroying of the fan base, because I can't even fault to 100% the fans. You know, I can't put all the blame on the fans, because I understand why they don't have patience, why they don't believe, or they don't have trust. They've been burned too many times. They've been let down too many times. But my call would be, you got to keep going. You got to stand up. You got to believe. You got to fight. That's what this club embodies. That's what this club embodies. That's what this club has always embodied. That's what it means to me. You know, I look at all these examples of Manchester United. I go throughout the history because sometimes I get curious. You know, there's a lot part. I'm only a small fraction of Manchester United's history. You know, and when I was younger, I wanted to know, like, the whole thing of the club, like how it started, when it was founded, you know, how we went through this process to get to where we were. And like, when you look back, like, there's so many points and periods in the United's history where it was just like, we did good. There was severe challenges, hard times, really bad times, and we always went through them. We fought, and then at some point, it took us a while, but we do get there. Like, you have to go through the process. The process is never easy. If the process was easy, everybody would do it. If the process was easy, you'd get the worst team to ever exist, and they would become champions. You know, the process is very hard. Nobody wants, you know, and they make jokes and they say, trust the process. Bro, but you gotta trust the process. The process, it's automatic, bro. Especially for the situation, like, that we're in, with our shit owners that we have and what they've done to this football club. And how far we've gone away from what we were 12 years ago. It's gonna have to take time. It's gonna have to take time. And there's gotta be a process that we actually find and that we actually stick to, because it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like, let's say you wanna play guitar and you don't know how to play guitar, or you're not very good at guitar, and you go and you're starting to do the process of guitar, and maybe you do a couple months and then you go, fuck this, it's too hard, or I ain't good enough. And then you give up on that and you go, you know what, instead of guitar, I'll go play drums. And you do the same thing that you did to the guitar for the drums, and you do 3 months and you leave. And And then you go from the drums and you go and you say, you know what, I want to ice skate. And you do the same thing and you're not very good at it. You just keep cutting the processes and not like trying to see the full process out. You're never going to get anywhere with anything. It's you are doing more damage. Number one, you're wasting a shit ton of time. And number two, you're not moving forward in anything. So therefore, if you're already behind in things, you're actually going backwards because everybody else is sort of set on their path. Richard has joined the RD VIP section. Thank you very much, Richard. I greatly appreciate that very, very much, and welcome. He's got the blue badge. The blue badge. They do go in different colors, and they do go up as you subscribe and join. And so shout out to Richard. He's been here for a while, and I always greatly appreciate his support and everybody else's as well. So Lucky says that's why Eric Selugarte replacement, buying Ruben Neves or Conor Gallagher, Chelsea winner, understand Champions League, Premier League. Johnny Hill says, to be honest, if our process under this ownership and management is to remove players like Mainoo and keep players like Luke Shaw, Delon, Maguire, then it's not a process I can get behind. Well, I wouldn't get behind it either, my friend. That's not what I'm arguing for. And if it happens, then I won't be behind it. But I'm not going to sit here I get your point, Johnny. But my point is that people will take your point and they believe it as fact. They believe it as it has already happened. They speak about it like it has already happened, and it has not happened. So unless that happens, I choose not to believe it, because that, to me, obviously, quite clearly, is not the proper process. I don't believe in that process. I don't believe in doing that. I don't think that's the correct way at all. I think that's very wrong. And if they were to do that, I'm not going to support it in any way, and I'm going to call it out. My thing is he should not be leaving this football club. And as I said, which I think it's a very fairly balanced approach. Just because you're not the superstar stardom at 20 years old, and maybe you were starting under one manager, guess what? There's a new fucking guy here. And he plays a different way, and he has different ideas. And if you don't fit in right now, you don't fit in right now. Boo-hoo. Work fucking hard and get in there. That's my whole thing. Work hard, force your way in there. If you're that good, you'll force your way in there. You'll make it happen. It's pressure makes diamonds, they say, yeah? So at some point, the diamond will come out. If you're actually a diamond, the diamond will come out. Go into it. Go fully into it. Be fully committed. That's why even in the beginning, when they had these stories, in the very early stages, and they're talking about Kobbie asking for a loan, I was disappointed to a certain extent, because I'm like, dude, I truly do believe in you. And I know sort of how this manager is. I know how he works. Now, I think some of the things that he has done as a manager, I don't think he's 100% replicating yet. I think he can, but I think he's obviously, he can't do everything that he sort of did at Sporting, step by step exact. It can't be copy and paste what he did at Sporting to United, because obviously United is a different animal, but he still holds all the core principles and values, and it's the same one, and I've seen that help him become successful there. There are similarities between Sporting and United. There is. It might not be the level of the league or whatever, but nobody's talking about that. That's not what we're saying. We're talking about identities of the football club. We're talking about sort of situations of the football club and where they've been. And, they hadn't won a trophy for a while. They've always had things about youth. And he embodied all that shit. But can it be an exact step-for-step replica that he did at Sporting at United? No, because the processes are different. The ownership model is different. So you got to kind of go about it in different ways, different directions. I still truly believe that if he gets enough time, and he has to help himself get enough time, I think the whole reason why I'm so passionate about this is I think if he's able to earn and get the amount of time that I think he needs, and we actually get to see the full sort of movie and picture play out, I think when we get to that point, I think the club and our team, I think we're going to be in a really, really, really good place, and I think things are going to be really, really well. But there's a lot of things that you got to get right. There's a lot of things that need to happen for that to happen. I mean, and some of them are not in his hands. Some of them are, some of them aren't. You know, NEO still have to do the proper job. They still have to get the proper recruitment in. They need to do their job on that. But at the same time, you know, he's got to get results on the pitch and he's got to make calls. And he's not going to get every call right. It's impossible. I don't expect him to. He's not Jesus Christ. He's not God. He's not, you know, the creator of the universe. He's just a guy. He's just a human being. He's going to get some shit where he is dead on 100%. And he's going to do some things where he's fucking wrong. So what? Sir Alex Ferguson did the same. So did everybody else. You know, Pep ain't perfect, Klopp ain't perfect. None of them are perfect. It's more about being more right than wrong. But I'm willing to be patient. I'm willing to go through the process. I want to see how sort of the story unfolds. But I could tell by how a lot of people speak, they're not interested. They're not interested. They saw the trailer and they said it's fucking crap. Well, you know what? I'm not that kind of person. I like to give chances. I like to give opportunities. I like to see, because you know what? Life is crazy, and sometimes you might be right from the get-go, but sometimes you might be wrong and you might be surprised. And that's sort of the beauty of life. You know, it could be really shit, or it could be the most amazing surprise you've ever seen, and you never thought was possible. And that's just who I am, and that's my beliefs, and I bring it into my football. So, Richard says, I'm going to tell you all something. For 62 years, I've watched United, and I guarantee it all comes good in the end. Well, listen, I haven't been around for that long, and I don't have that much experience. But I feel that way, Richard, and I believe that. And for me, the way I can get that is just by taking a look at our history. You know, I wasn't there. I didn't live through it. I don't have 62 years of experience of watching United. But you can go back and you can sort of, in a way, do research and look at how things went and read stories about it and sort of hear how it played out. And that's what I've done. Like I've watched, you know, so many old seasons where I either wasn't alive or, you know, I was way too young to understand the concept of football, really, or even remember it in my brain at the current time. And, you know, you go back and you read up on the history and you read what the club went through. And when I've done this, that's the sense that I always have ever since I did it. You know, I get the same sense. Now, you have 62 years under your belt. You know, you've lived through a lot of these things that I have to, you know, at least 25 years of you know, 62 minus 25, those years, like I have to go back and look at those things. I have nothing out of that at all. But I do truly believe that, you know, that's what our club does, man. We never pick the easy route. It's never the easy way. It's never the easy process. It's never, it never is. And we face some horrible times, some dark times, some really bad periods. But what I do know is that this football club always comes back from it somehow, some way, at some point. It does. It like, you know, like Richard says, it all comes good in the end. Somehow it does. And then, you know, it's good and then it goes bad again. And we repeat the process. This club, it's done it for so long that, like, you know, to me, it's just my belief. Like, it's ingrained into this football club. It's in the DNA. You know, you talk about DNA. For me, that's what that is. It's ingrained in this football club. We've done it so many times. It's happened so many times. Again, I don't believe in coincidences. It is something built in to this football club. And that part, no matter who we have, whether they have dirty glazers or not, whether they have the shittiest owners or the best owners, that part will never go away. I don't believe that part can ever be erased. It's so ingrained that it is the only way it disappears is if the club ceases to exist, you know, which is not going to happen. So, Johnny Hill says the Ruben Neves links makes me laugh as well. I've seen people complain that Mainoo doesn't fit because he doesn't have legs. We'll be interested to see how they react to Neves. Well, listen, the whole thing is, I can't really give a full 100% thing on Ruben Neves because, listen, I sort of wanted him when he was in the Prem, when he was at Wolves. At that time, like I did want him to come to United around that time. And I didn't have a problem with it. He is 28, and he's obviously been in the Saudi league. So the whole thing is like, I don't know what he's been doing. since he left the Premier League. You know, I don't know if he's like good anymore. I don't know if he's like lost pace. I mean, 28, he should be in his prime. And I know he wasn't like the fastest, but he did have good ability at one point. I just don't know what he's like anymore. So I can't give like a full convicted opinion on it because I just don't know what his talent level is at. But I mean, when I look at it and you say, listen, as sort of a reinforcement, maybe that, you know, if he is good enough and you could get a good 4 years out of him, he could be sort of an experienced squad player. 20 million, it shouldn't affect any of the plans that we have going forward. You know, I sort of look at Ugarte, doesn't seem like he has a future here. I don't know if we're going to keep Cass or not, and if you do, maybe it's 1 year. At most, if it happens, I don't think it'll be longer than that. I still think Kobbie Mainoo should be part of this football club, and I think he can be part of this football club, and I don't see any reason why he can't continue. And then, you know, I also don't really like Bruno playing where Bruno plays, and I think you can still do 1 to 2 major signings in the midfield, even with that sort of setup. So for 20 million for a 28-year-old, I mean, listen, if there's not abundance of options in terms of, you know, we can't get Warden, we can't get Elliot Anderson, definitely 100%. We should still try, but I think the outcome is that, you know, they're not going to agree to it, both the player and the club. We do need something. So, you know, if it's Neves, 20 million, and it can work, and it works, you know, this is where I have to trust these guys that are running the football club. They're supposed to be the experts on this. They have the insights. They have supposedly the knowledge. They have these people working for them that are supposed to make these decisions. And that's where I have to trust him because I'm not there. So like, and I don't know about this guy as much anymore. You know, it's not like he's playing in the Prem and I'm watching him week in, week out. Like, you know, I could give you 100% conviction on Semenyo because I've watched him many times. But I don't know what he's been doing in Saudi Pro League. I don't know how good he is. But for the price of a 28-year-old for 20 million, listen, if it's no Conor Gallagher and it's no this, and, you know, we try and do 5 or 6 deals for the midfield and none of them work out and they tell us João Gomez is 70 million, and you tell me, well, we could take a shot on Neves. We could take a shot on Neves, 20 million, he's 28, he's in a prime, maybe you get a good 4 years out of him if it works. I say, go for it. I mean, I don't think you have really anything too much to lose. I mean, it's not a lot of money. You don't have to worry about losing a shit ton of money. But I mean, I guess we'll see. Like, I guess we'll see how it goes, you know? Christopher Vela wants us to quickly get January and summer under transfers. We need it. We desperately need it. Most of my quarrels are not towards Amorim specifically as well. It's mostly towards Ineos because they have been bad owners at most clubs they own. Well, listen, I feel you on that, and that's fine. Like, that's fine. I mean, if people have that opinion, that's fine. It's not really like, I don't really care if people have like a different thought process or whatever, like, or a different opinion. My problem is when people want to sort of make statements that seem like they pull it out of their ass or out of thin air, and they don't really provide, you know, any depth to the argument or, you know, some facts or points or anything really, just like, you know, some content, which a lot of people do. And I'm not that type of guy. Like, I like to have full discussions, as you could tell. You know, I do 2-hour, 3-hour shows where I sit here and talk to you because I think they're important and I like them. I like to do them. I like to have full, detailed, you know, you can call them conversations, arguments, whatever. I think argument is a natural thing anyway in life. I don't have problem arguing with people. I can argue with people all day, all night, all long about anything. And, you know, as long as it's in a certain way, like if nobody's calling me a fucking dickhead or an asshole or, you know, some crazy shit where they're personally attacking me, then we can say, all right, like, listen, we got heated about it. Now let's go have a beer or something. I don't give a shit. It's not like I hate you now. You know, I'm not that type of guy. But yeah, I mean, listen, I get you on that. And my whole thing is like, dude, I had issues with, listen, actually, you know, like it's funny because if you do have time, right, and you want, if you go in this channel and you go in the video section, not the lives, but you go in the video section. When I first started this channel, I wasn't doing lives. I was doing recorded videos. Actually, I think it's under the lives tab. It's the very first live I ever did. It's shit compared to how we do it now. I was new. I never really talked in front of a camera. I was probably nervous. You know, whatever it is. But I keep it there because I like it there. I like for that maybe at some point people can sort of see the progress. And, you know, even for myself, maybe one day I'll look back at it and be like, look at where I started and look at where I ended up. So I don't want to hide those things because it doesn't look good or whatever. I'm not one of those people. But if you look at that video, the first one, because I know it's there, it was the first one, and this is when I started it because I felt such a need. It was when Sir Jim Ratcliffe was announced as the guy to win the bid for Manchester United. And I made a whole video talking about Man United are fucked, Sir Jim ruined this football club. I've always had the reservations. The point is that there's not much that we can do about it. And again, like I always say, I give the benefit of the doubt, sometimes maybe a bit foolishly, but I was like, listen, I don't really like this guy. I didn't want him to win, but I'll still give you an opportunity, you know, prove me wrong, prove us wrong, and I'll take things along the way. And you know, just because I don't necessarily like him doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and say everything he does is fucking bad or everything they do is bad. I think, like everything, they do some stuff that has been good, for sure, that has definitely improved, but there's other things that they have fucked up and made mistakes on and that are not so good. And, you know, for me, it's always a balance. Like, you know, I talked about the transfers earlier. For me, specifically, their job and a key indication of how this is going to go, and their main responsibility, in my opinion, is when you do the transfers, once... You know, we're building it up now. It's getting pretty large, but then you still need a bit of time to go in between when you bring them in and to assess them. But as the list continues to grow as the players, the balance needs to be, well, they've done more good signings that have worked out for us, signings that were good prices, signings that actually had big impact, signings that are actually useful to us, than signings that were shit and didn't work out. And if you keep that balance more good than bad, then to me, that's good. You're doing a good job. That's fine. I won't have many issues about that. But if it starts tipping the other way, or it goes the other way, well, then obviously, you know, you've failed. You failed. But as long as you're here, you sort of continue to have, you know, opportunities. They've been here for 2 years now. Like, you know, for me, the Glazers, there's no opportunities because they've been here for so long and we've seen them do what they do. Like, you know, it's fucking out the window. There is no opportunities. You know, even if the Glazers did a video where they got on their hands and knees and begged and they said they were sorry, like, no, sorry, like, too much time has passed. You've done too many actions, too many things. You know, for you, it's set in stone. It's over. But these guys, like, listen, they could do some very bad things. I'll try to give them as much time to sort of, so I can see. I want to see the full picture. I want to see the full sort of, you know, how it sort of ends to a certain degree. Because again, like sometimes things look like they're going very wrong. They're looking very bad. And then, you know, things can turn around and you know, it's sort of that ultimate story, I guess, maybe of like an underdog or something where like, you know, they didn't really have a chance from the beginning, or they weren't given a chance, or everybody doubted them while they were doing it and they weren't doing too good. And then in the end, they came out and they actually did well. And, you know, they actually had like positive impacts. So, you know, I get it. Like, you know, dude, I'm not oblivious. I seen what happened to them in League One. I see what they did at Nice. You know, things haven't gone particularly well there. There's always an aspect that they could do something at Manchester United. I would like to hope that they're not as foolish. I would like to hope that a lot of the mistakes that they made there, they don't carry it to United and they've actually learned. There's also different sort of things. Like, listen, if you look into Nice, it's set up a bit differently. Ineos has more direct control here. Over there, they don't have as much direct control. So there is discrepancies. There is differences, because I do look into these things. It's quite different. You know, and United is United and Nice is Nice and stuff like that. So you don't completely ignore it. You take it in and you say, all right, listen, those things are maybe some warning signs, something to sort of, you know, keep in the back of your head and say, all right, well, like, let's not 100% blindly follow them in and think that they can do no wrong, because they've done some wrong already. And we'll look out for it. And hopefully they don't do it at our football club. And if they do it at our football club, well, then we got to call it out and we got to fucking, you know, deal with it. I kind of think even if Amorim wanted to use Mainoo, Ineos will still try to push media hit pieces out against him because I think Ineos saw the pure profit projections are more hungry. Well, there is something that's coming out now, and we'll get into it in a second as soon as I get to your comments. So I'm just going to run through this. Eric, we know you are Ruben. Yes. If your wife asks, I am Ruben. I am Ruben. You know, somebody told me I look like Ruben. I don't really think so, but actually, he's right next to me. Do I look like Ruben? I mean, he's got better hair than me. I wish I had his hair. He's got better hair than me. I don't think I look like him. Axe said, well, things don't always work like that. Like, Yamal wouldn't have become top class had he been benched. You can't convince him that Casemiro is better than... You can't convince him that Casemiro is better than Mainoo. Well, again, it's all about opinion. Like I don't. Okay. So how about this? When I look at it, I say, well, Kobbie Mainoo in certain aspects of his game, Kobbie Mainoo is better than Casemiro. But then Casemiro is way better at certain aspects than Kobbie Mainoo is. So it's. I don't really get that point to a certain extent because, I don't know, you're looking at an overall picture. I'm looking at specifically in the position that we need. Like, he does bring a composure, but can he really do the defensive side? I don't really think he can do some things that Casemiro does. So he might be better than Cas, sure, in a lot of things, but he's not better than Cas at everything. And in that midfield, there needs to be a balance. And I don't think, for me, I think probably I would like to see, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it doesn't work, and whatever it is, but I still hold the opinion I would like to see Kobbie and Cas. I think would be the best. But I'm also going to just let him do his thing, because, listen, he might do something. I'm not looking at it. Maybe we don't understand it. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. And maybe I'm right or these other people are right. But let it fucking happen and let's see what happens. And then when it happens, we'll be like, all right, well, he got it completely wrong. He fucked all of this up. So deal with the consequences now. But it's like we jump to so much conclusions, like, and nothing has actually happened. Like, and people freak out and panic and like they just write the end of the story before they even fucking get to see it. And we're just like, dude, just relax and like let things happen. Like, you have no control over them anyway. Like, you're gonna bitch and complain all you want. This shit's still gonna happen. And he's made it quite clear. Like, you can complain and all you want that you believe that Kobbie Mainoo should be starting every match 90 minutes. Has that changed anything for Ruben? He doesn't care, bro. He's made it quite abundantly clear. He's not going to change until he thinks that it's the right thing to do. It's even with these 4-3-3 people, like that they want a 4-3-3. Like, he's talking about changing it, and I'm like, the first thing I'm getting is like, yeah, because we're losing a couple players, and they're like, and they're out here championing like, yes, he's seen the light. He's seen the light. He's gonna play a 4-3-3. These idiots are setting themselves up for disappointment, and maybe on purpose, and anger because they think he's permanently gonna switch to this formation, and they think it's 100% gonna succeed. And I'll tell you this right now, right off the bat, even if he does this. And I don't think, whatever, if he changes the formation to any 4-back, and even if he does well, I will bet you any money in the world that when the players come back, guess where he's going? Right back to his system and his way. So he is making an adjustment now because he feels like this is the best course based on what he's got available as his players. He's not doing it because he's had some sort of epiphany, because Timmy on fucking X has been talking about that he needs to play this system and this formation. And I don't even think the system will really change much. I think it's just the number of the formation. Because, again, the system will still have a lot of the same characteristics, same qualities that he'll be asking for. High intensity, attacking, scoring goals, and defending, and doing the defensive job, being a unit, tracking back and all this stuff. So, I don't. Yeah, but what does that have? We're not talking about winning percentage, bro. This is where you and I disagree, Eric. I do not think we will win anything with Ruben. However, listen, we might not win anything with Ruben. I'm not necessarily saying that we will win things with Ruben. What I'm saying is, what I view it as is that we need to systematically build this club back up. And we got to hit a certain level where, like, we still are, we've always been too inconsistent. We've never followed through on a project. We always chop and change, and we keep going backwards because of it. And at some point, we need to have like a base, a layer of foundation, set some sort of normalcy, some consistency. He might not be the guy. I mean, he says it as well. He says it in almost every press conference. He says, listen, I don't know who's going to be here. You know, and he even said it in this press conference, you know, because they asked him about Sir Alex, and Sir Alex said it might take another 10, 11 years before we get back to where we got to go. So if you don't want to listen to him, you can listen to Sir Alex. Doesn't sound so great that we're going to be here for another 10, 11 years, but it's sort of, you know, and maybe Sir Alex is right. Maybe he's wrong. I would like to choose to, like, I would like for it to not take another 10, 11 years. I think that if you do the right things, it shouldn't take 10, 11 years. It could very well take 10, 11 years, but he'll be the first one to tell you, like, he says all the time, he doesn't know if he's going to be here. He doesn't know if he's going to be the guy that's going to be the guy to win all these trophies. But that's not where we are right now. Where we are is we need to get a layer of foundation. We need to actually build something. I sort of view it as to Arteta. And I say this a lot because I think that's the proper way. Like, I think it's worked. And I think, two, it's the proper way. I think it's a really good way to build. Now, the thing with Arteta, like, this guy hasn't won anything and he's been there for 6, 7 years. I'm not saying we need to take that long, but I'm saying at some point we need to build something at least somewhere towards that. And then somewhere in between there, like, if you're in your 3rd, 4th year and the progress seems like it's maybe sort of stalled or it's going a little bit backwards, well, then that's when you go, okay, listen, Ruben, thank you. You've taken us this far, but we got to take the next step. We're now much better than we once were. We've improved in a lot of areas. We've fixed a lot of things, but now we need to go to a higher level, and you're not the guy. So I'm not saying that he is definitely going to win us things. What I'm saying is, in terms of building something that we haven't actually had, I think a lot of his philosophies actually do fit with our club. They need time to go into effect. And he needs to get the results, though. Because, again, you know, having this win percentage, you can only get away with that for so long. So that's why I talk about you need to get results. Because I don't give a shit that the win percentage is low now, but the win percentage can't stay there, is the point. Because when you go through the process, that win percentage obviously has to go up. If the win percentage goes up, that means he's winning more games, which means we're getting more points, which means we're going into a better place. It's all just dominoes, man. So I get that it's not the greatest right now. He literally said it in this interview. He takes all the blame. He takes most of the blame. He takes all the blame and says we're not doing as good as we should be performing. He literally says this, and I accept that. And he should. Because he is the manager. He should do that thing. He should do those things. He should say these things. And I agree with that. It's not like I ignore that. But I'll give him the time to see if he can actually do better. Because he says he thinks he can. And I think I think there's definitely a possibility that he can. There's also a possibility it doesn't work. And it fails. I remember in 1981 talking to Harry Gregg. He still had burn marks on his arm. Yeah. I said, Harry, what was that like with the crash? His eyes filled up with tears, and he said, please never ask me again. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him, man. Imagine, I mean, I don't even really want to imagine it, but like, dude, just like, imagine you were there and in that, and imagine the guilt you might feel. You know, it happens to a lot of people, like some tragic sort of event happens, a lot of people die, and you make it. And, you know, that one's even worse because those are your, like, friends. Those are your teammates. Those are, like, people that you're close with and stuff like that. And, you know, sometimes it could be random people. You might be in some, like, you know, like a public thing like the Titanic or something where you don't really know these people or whatever. But, and dude, imagine like the weight that you have to carry with that. Like, you survived, they all gone. The things you see, you can never unsee them. Those things are probably burned into, you know, into your head, and you got to live with that for the rest of your life. Like, dude, that must be like so extremely tough, and it's horrible. You know, it is absolutely horrible, and that's why, like, you know, that's why I get mad at this shit, because it's like, dude, when you put it into perspective, like, we've had people die at this football club, and we've had people like give everything that they've ever had for this football club, and then you got these fucking kids coming around today, and it's just like, to me, it's like, you don't actually get it, man. You're trying to take the easy way out. You're trying to play the victim. Like, that's not this football club. It's never been this football club, man. We could have done that so many times. You know, and to me, Munich air disaster is the perfect one. You know, the club could have came out and been like, woe is us, and, you know, look at this tragic event, and look what happened to us, and, like, you know, how are we supposed to ever recover from this? How are we supposed to ever be good again? How are we ever going to achieve anything? How are we going to ever do anything? And we could have just sat there and gave up and said, well, everything is over, you know, because life came and did something really fucked up to us, and now that's it. And you know, but we didn't, because we had leaders, we had a strong foundation, we had men, we had warriors, we had people that were willing to stand up and fight and persevere in adversity, and walk the tough road, and make the tough decisions, and fight and battle through shit to succeed. And then when I see things like this in today's time, where, you know, the manager says some bad words about you, like, you know, he said here, like, the manager says some words that you don't like, and it's like the first thing you do is you go play victim online to gain the support of fans, of these people that don't even know you. And by the way, you know, not for nothing, but listen, fans are very fickle. They'll be up your ass one day, and the next day they'll fucking hate you and want you kicked out of the club. So they should be careful of that as well, because that's, you know, these people that are blowing smoke up your ass right now, well, they're like sharks. They'll turn on you very quickly. So, you know, it's not always, the grass is always greener anyway when you do that sort of thing. But that's what it gets to me, because I'm like, dude, I just see these things going on here, and I'm like, dude, we have people like dying. We've had people die for this football club. We've had people bleed for this football club, and then you want me to have sympathy for people that, at the first sign of trouble, at the first sign of you know, sort of a struggle or something, you want me to have some sort of sympathy for these people? No. There's no sympathy, man. It's stand up and fight or be eaten. And that's the world. That's how I view it, at least. You know, it's a, what did they say? Dog eat world? So whatever it is. Like, I see it. It's very true. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was a much nicer place. I wish it was a less savage place. I wish it was a less sort of, you know, less cutthroat. It doesn't have to be all, you know, bouncy balls and soft padding all over the place, but, you know, it can be very, very, a very, very hard place to live in. It can, you know, bad things happen all the time, but at some point it's just like, you just gotta, you know, like I said before, your back's against the wall. What are you gonna do? You're gonna fight back, or you're just gonna sit there and get fucked up? And I don't know, to me, it's just like, I'd rather go down fighting and lose. And, you know, I won't be happy I lost, but you know, at least I'll be like, listen, I fucking fought and I gave everything, instead of just accepting it, you know, just accepting it. Like, even if, like, you know, say I was at the beach and a tsunami's coming in, yeah, you know, I'm probably fucked, right? I mean, too little too late. I'm probably not going to get away with it. But I tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to stand there and just be like, tsunami, take me. You know, I'm not just going to be like, well, it's over. I just lay down and just wait for the tsunami to wash me away. I'm going to fucking try and run, whatever. I'll do anything, climb something. You know, I'll try to fight to stay alive. I'm not just going to be like, well, it's too late now, you know? You know, or if I was like trapped in in a house or a building on fire, and, you know, knock on wood that I don't ever get in that situation, but even if, like, the situation seems pretty hopeless, I'm not just going to sit in the room and be like, well, all the exits are blocked and there's fire everywhere, I'm fucked. Just, it's done. You know, I'm gonna try and break the wall, the window. I'll jump through fire. Maybe I'll burn the shit out of myself, but I'll do whatever I got to try. And you know, if it doesn't work, I go. But you know, if it does, then I'll be grateful that I fought for it. So, you can even argue with Jupiter. Abraham Joseph 333. I added extra 3. Says the issue is people do not fully understand what a process is. Generally, process is not linear, so I am not surprised on the ups and downs. Well, thank you for that sort of insight. I sort of tend to agree, or you know, I don't know what the really what it is. Is it that they don't understand what a process is, or is it that they don't want to go through a process, or they don't want to hear anything about a process? Listen, I say, like, I can understand some fans how they've maybe gotten to a spot where, dude, they've heard process for the last 12 years. They've been told to trust these processes that the Glazers have set out for us. There was never really anything real behind them. They all failed. They all ended in failure because they were never proper. And this one might not be proper either. And it might all be a waste of nothing. But I still think I try to separate these assholes, the Glazers I'm talking about are assholes. I try to separate these guys sometimes because I'm like, listen, either way, even if they're fucking us over, even if they're leading us down, you know, a path that's not going to produce anything, we still need to go through it. And it's the best, unfortunately, it's the best shot we got. It's the best hope we have. Like, that they are in charge and they are making decisions. And I hope that what they do actually works out. And I do truly believe that, like, they need to work out. It's not because, like, you know, I have, like, any affection for Sir Jim, or I think Ruben Amorim is the greatest guy to ever grace the football planet. It's because when I look at it, I'm like, dude, if they actually do good, we'll be good. And then we'll be okay. And then I'll be happy. You know, like, so I'm not... I can never get into this spot where I'm like preying on these guys' downfall, because even if I don't necessarily trust them, or don't necessarily like them, or don't necessarily like everything they do, where I'm just like, I hope they fail and they're not gonna do it. You know, I hope they do it. I want them to do it. I want them to succeed. So I don't know what the Discord is, but I will get an account and phone in. Definitely do so, and definitely do so. Definitely join the Discord. We got the link up here. You know, you'd be good in there. You would, and you would enjoy it. You'd add to the conversation as well. So, access, they have already banned me on Discord. But listen, Lyle is, I own the Discord, but Lyle created the whole thing, and he is the CEO. And I entrust people. The rules are quite clear. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. Things were erased, like the messages were gone, so I can't review them myself. Now, if you want back in, Axe, I will discuss it with them, as we are a community, and if they feel like it is okay for you to come back, we'll let you back in there. But they made the call. They said that you were saying some really nasty stuff. I can't tell you if it was nasty or not, because I didn't read it, so I have to trust the people that I put in charge. And unfortunately, you know, it happened at a time where I wasn't on top of these things. So, I mean, the one thing is, you are always here. And sometimes, you know, you say crazy things, and I don't know what you're on about. But you are always here, and you always do support the channel. And so I do appreciate that. And again, I always say that I will give a platform for people to say things regardless, and be in places. So I will have a chat with them. And if they are okay, because listen, the thing is, we can't have a few ruin it for the rest. So if the community feels like, if a majority feels like a problem is being caused by maybe one or two individuals, well, then that's just how it goes. So, but listen, I didn't ban you from here because I had nothing to do from it. I don't think you've said really anything that I would ever ban you so far yet from here. So, you know, I timed you out that one time, but that was only temporary. That was only temporary. But yes, you come in the Discord. There's rules in there. You can read them. There's a way to conduct yourself. There's a way to behave yourself. I would like to think we have a lot of tolerance for this stuff. And I've also told them that like any incidents go down, you know, screenshot things, whatever, send it to me so I can review them. I'll make sort of the final decision. I will entrust you to act on what you feel like is best for the community and the channel at that time. I give you the license to do that, but I would like to also see things for myself because maybe I have a different opinion or something like that, and then I can make a better judgment call on it. So DJ says, hi buddy, it's been a while, had to heard gig in Marseille, but now I'm back. What's been going on? Nothing much. I mean, we've been just talking about Ruben and, you know, the state of United and stuff like that, and some other stuff. So I know you were banned. We can literally unban you, but I sort of left it like that because, well, again, they made the decision and I wasn't there, so I don't know. But I will have a chat with them and I will ask the community and I will talk to Lyle about it. And we will see what happens from that. See, I'm all about, like, I will at least give you the option, or I will at least give you a chance, an opportunity. So I'm not saying it's a shut case, and I'm not saying it's guaranteed. We'll see. We'll see. I will look to check. Okay? I promise. So, I must be going deaf, man. Turn off text, put on smart TV. Richard says, Harry got the mother and child out that day, but I know for a fact it was the mother and child or Dennis Violet. Yeah, I mean, that's just, it makes me sad talking about it too, you know. It makes me sad talking about it. It's really sad. It's really sad. And every time we have to do the anniversary, I get really sad. I get really sad. I get really emotional. In case of a tsunami, run to the highest hill or go to the last floor. Preferably have access to the outside so that people off the ground can see you. Well, thank you for that. Hopefully, I never have to actually experience any of that. DJ says, in how many games and with which players have played themselves to death for Man United recently? No one. There's not one Man U player who is playing for the shirt. Well, but this is what I'm saying. Like, this was, I know you joined a little bit late, DJ, but this has sort of been the whole arching point, that, you know, the thing, because Ruben has gone in the press conference. He's sort of indirectly but directly called out players that feel entitled. He's also said that, you know, we might be doing a bit of damage in terms of we tend to put players on pedestals before they actually achieve anything and actually be successful and stuff like that. And, you know, a bit of struggle is not going to kill anybody and can actually do some good, especially to some of these younger guys. And basically what he's just saying is like, dude, I want them to fight. Like, I want them to fight. I want them to, like, go through things. This is how we're going to build warriors. Like, you know, these youths that everybody wants so desperately bad, like, yeah, bro, we need these guys to, like, they need to, you know, it's one thing to grow your, you know, your skills on the pitch. That's one thing. But we also need them to have, like, strong mentalities, warrior mentalities. They need to be able to handle, like, the way I view it is like, dude, if you can't handle the manager saying something that's maybe not in the most positive light about you in a press conference, how are you going to handle when you go into the Old Trafford and there's 75,000 people pissed off at you because you're playing like shit? How are you going to handle when you have a shit game and everybody online and there's hundreds of millions of people and they're saying you're fucking crap because you played like shit and you shouldn't be at this football game? How are you going to handle that? If you can't handle one man saying some remarks that, listen, they're not overtly like the worst thing anything's ever everybody said. They're not necessarily positive, but it's not like he said, it's not like he came out and said they're fucking trash, get out of the football club. He didn't say that. So, dude, they need to fight. Like, this is the whole point. Like, he's trying to get them to fight. You know, and even the things that he said about Kobbie, like, and that's why I don't believe that he's given up on Kobbie, and that's why I don't believe, like, that's why I don't believe the notion that Kobbie is not part of his plans. What he's asking for is like, dude, fight. I want you to fight. I want you to fight. There's something there with you know, sometimes it feels like somebody is picking on you and you can't really understand why. And sometimes it feels like you're trying to do all these things and no matter what you do, they're fucking with you. They're fucking with you. But I've always held sort of the thing of, I've always held sort of the opinion as if they didn't believe in you, if they didn't think that there's something there to fight with or to work with, guess what they would do? They wouldn't even bother. They wouldn't take their time to bother. They wouldn't be fucking with you. They wouldn't be egging you on. They wouldn't be picking on you. Most of the times, you can't say all of the time because sometimes there's just people that are like that. But I found that most of the times when people constantly are picking on you, you know, I used to have teachers like that. And I used to get really upset when I was a child because I used to be like, why is this teacher doing this to me? Why is he always singling me out? Why is he always calling me out in front of the class? I was like, why is he always making me look like a fucking idiot in front of my friends? Because I'm getting made fun of. And people are making fun of me because, like, you know, I don't know the answers or whatever, or, you know, he's picking on me. Why is he picking on me? Why is he? I was like, he fucking hates me, you know. But I was like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Like, I didn't really understand the world. And I used to be like, this guy hates me. Like, he's making my life miserable. He hates me. But it wasn't that wasn't the truth. The truth was that he saw something in me and he was trying to push me. And they were trying to make me fight back. They were trying to make me actually, like, prove them wrong so that I can actually go up a level because they saw that I had some sort of potential. If I didn't have potential, they wouldn't pick on me. They would just be like, that guy's fucking useless. Why am I going to bother my time? The guy's useless. So that's what I sort of feel like. Like when I hear him speak and the way I see him like operating, the way I've seen him operate before, like, dude, if you have something about you, there's a way that he's going to work with you, but it ain't just going to, he wants you to fight. He wants you to fucking, yeah, he actually probably, what he really wants is that I feel like he wants is like, he really wants Kobbie to step it up so high that it gets to a point where Kobbie gets to the point where he's literally like, fuck you, like you're wrong. See, you were wrong the whole time. Like I am this fucking good. Now play me, bitch. And then he actually does it because he goes, yeah, like that's what I wanted from you, bro. Like I know you had like another 2-3 levels in there. He's like, I needed you to get it out from you. I needed you to show me that you're fucking in this and you're committed because that's what I'm trying to build here. I'm trying to build an army here. I'm trying to build shit that people are fully committed to this team, this project, and that they're going to give everything. And that you're not 100% selfish to you, but you're going to fight. And that we can count on you. We can count on you. When times get hard, when times get tough, when things aren't going the way, I need to be able to count on you that you're not going to fucking like down tools or, you know, drop massive amounts of levels because your head's going to drop or you're going to break under the pressure. I need warriors. I need people that are actually going to get over the line with me. I need to know that no matter what the fuck happens, you're going to trust me to have your back. But to get to that point, you sort of got to build that, you know. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of fuck you. And if it turns out good, then it's like, listen, we went through a hard process together, but now we got each other's backs. Now we're solid. You know, now we're like two fucking rocks and there's nothing breaking this. And that's what we need. We don't have that bond. We haven't had that bond at United for a long time, and we're missing that, and we need that. We need that back in the team's DNA. You know, not the club's DNA per se, but the team's DNA. The team itself has been missing that for quite some time. And I feel like, to a certain extent, I feel like, yeah, when I look at this team, I feel like the bond between them is a bit stronger than some of the other teams we had. Now, that maybe they're not performing as well, but I think that's an aspect that you look to build on and you make it stronger. And I think that definitely will help us later on, you know. Super chat from Sanchi. Thank you, Sanchi. I'll get to that in a second. Are we back on stage against Villa tomorrow or Sunday? We're playing Sunday. Sorry, I'm a bit out of touch. No, it's all right, brother. It's all right. No, we're playing on Sunday. So tomorrow we're not going to stream. Tomorrow we're all just going to watch the Premier League individually if you want to do that, but I'll be doing that. I'll be watching all the games. And then Sunday we'll be back live. We're going to do the I think we'll do a watch along. We might not do a watch along. I might go watch the match with my pops. We'll see. I mean, it's a big match, and I haven't watched a couple with him, so I might go watch that with him. And then you know, if I go watch the match with him, then I'll obviously just do the Red Devil recap after. But if I end up doing a watch along, then we'll do watch along and Red Devil recap. So Sunday will be the day. But I'm nodding my head. You can keep me banned, like, no worries. But listen, if you want to be back in there, you could just ask me, and I will ask them, and we can talk about it like adults, all right? So, agreed, dude. And Sanchi sent a super chat. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. I greatly appreciated. Much love, as always, and I thank you for the support. He said, signing Semenyo before fixing the midfield, will it be a kind of disaster? Well, it's a difficult one. It really is a difficult one because I don't know how things... Listen, Semenyo can have a certain impact, and it could help us, but also not addressing the midfield can hinder us, and we can suffer because of it. And, you know, we get to the end of the season, we might look back and say, you know, if we sign Semenyo, let's say we sign Semenyo, if we get to the end of the season and we look back and we say, wow, we really fucked up. We really desperately did need that midfielder. Like we all do. Like we all know we need to address it. But it's like, yeah, it wasn't enough to help us. And it just hurt us a lot more. And, you know, we suffered because of it. But would it be a disaster? I think it would be a disaster if they, listen, if they're taking a gamble, if they're taking a risk on certain things and shit doesn't go the way that they're taking the gambles on, then I think it could turn into a disaster. Like, again, we don't actually know how much money Manchester United have. Like, at this standpoint, right, can we spend 65 million on Semenyo? Can we maybe do, let's say, a Ruben Neves or something, 20 million? So you're spending 85 million in January, which one, I don't even know if we can do. I feel like we should be able to do it, but I don't know 100%. I don't know. I don't have access to the finances, and they're going to tell us whatever they want. So, and I'm not inclined to 100% trust them because Glazonomics 101, don't do business in the first quarter, you know, of the business quarter. Don't do business in January. We don't really like that. So I don't trust that 100%. But you know, I don't know, like, you spend that money, you would like to think it would give us a better opportunity. But also, okay, you spend that money. Now, what happens if you spend that money and we don't actually get into Europe anyway? What happens to the summer budget? Is spending that money and taking the gamble now mean that, like, we can't actually afford to go buy a player like Paleba or Wharton or Elliot Anderson? You know, forget two, now we can't even get one. So these are sort of the implications that, like, you can think about it in like 7-10 different ways. I think all things are possible depending on what you choose to do. But we don't know how it goes until we actually go about it. And they have the clearer picture. So this is the problem. Like, you know, some people think they're highly incompetent or whatever, and they may very well be incompetent. But the problem is, whether you like them or not, whether you think they're competent or not, unfortunately, one way or another, we're essentially in, you know, we're in their hands. So whether you trust them, you know, willingly or not, it's by force. Like, I mean, ultimately, we just have to sit here and hope that these guys make the right fucking correct decisions and that they actually benefit us in the proper way. Like, you know, from me, I kind of look at it, Sanchi, and I say, I'm a bit torn because I do know that we need to address the midfield. And without knowing how much money, what sort of actual impact it can have on the summer budget and things like that, I can only go so far to be so convicted in what I would believe is the best thing. But from a more basic standpoint, I sort of lean into the camp of, listen, maybe sometimes you just, and I've said this so many times, but maybe sometimes you just got to do the deal that's in front of you. And, you know, it might not necessarily address the midfield. I think even if you do Semenyo, I think you have to address the midfield in some sort of sliver of a way. You know, maybe it is Ruben Neves for 20. Maybe that might be just enough. You know, you add Semenyo, you add Ruben Neves, you take what we got, and maybe that's enough for this season. Maybe that would be enough. Maybe it won't be enough, but maybe it will. Maybe it will. And maybe if it's not Ruben Neves, maybe there's some other guy that we could go out there. 20, 25 million. Maybe it's Conor Gallagher. Maybe that's enough. And I would hope it's enough. And I would say at least Semenyo, very good player. Midfield, I was like, listen, decent quality, I believe, if those two guys. You look at it and you say, all right. Like, we've done something. Let's see if it's good enough now. And then you hope it works out. But yeah, I mean, listen, Semenyo is a good player, and I think it won't necessarily hurt if we get him, because I think in some aspects it would help. There would just be the problem of the whole of the midfield. But we have that issue now anyway. So, and we're still kind of hanging in there. And I sort of look at some other options, and I'm like, well, you know, there is sort of Xerxes. Some people rate him, some people don't. I kind of feel like Semenyo's a bit more versatile. He's definitely more of the player that maybe we need. I think Xerxes has some good qualities. I was like, maybe you look to do something there. Maybe that helps us out. You know, maybe it just helps out the team in that aspect and attacking wise or something like that. So this is a hard decision. You and Mainoo, what do you think we should do with him? Well, I mean, Ruben said a couple times that his door is open, so I don't know how bothered he is by it. Maybe, you know, I feel like it's really blown highly out of proportion. And just on Kobbie Mainoo real quick, because there was some updates and I didn't even get to them because I was doing this whole sort of press conference thing. But there was a couple updates as we were live, and a couple of them came out an hour ago or so. Maybe it's been a little bit longer. A potential loan with an obligation to buy guaranteed purchase for Joshua Xerxes to Roma could help facilitate Manchester United's move for Antoine Semenyo. That came from Fabrizio about an hour, so that's a possibility. Ben Jacobs has also come out and said for a permanent sale, Manchester United are looking for between £40 million to £50 million for Mainoo, depending on structure. And I think that that's sort of bullshit, and I think that's unacceptable. And I don't think that that's worth it at all. I don't really buy this. Listen, Ben Jacobs lied the other day. He was called out for it. So he's lost a little bit of credibility with me on him. We'll see if more reports follow up on this. But two people have sort of started to try and lean in this camp, in that Chris Wheeler came out and said that Kobbie now is apparently looking for a loan with a permanent potential to buy or something like that. But he's the only one that sort of reported that. Now Ben Jacobs is coming out and saying Manchester United are seeking 40 to 50 million for Kobbie Mainoo in a permanent transfer, depending on the deal structure. Well, United have constantly been saying that they are not looking to sell him. So unless things have changed in the last day or two, and I don't know, but I sort of still refuse to believe this. Like, Ben Jacobs yesterday came out and said that he said, my understanding is that Kobbie knew his brother was wearing the t-shirt and that he was in full support of this. And he's been called out for that as a blatant lie. And actually, there are people that have sources, contacts in the knows, people surrounding Kobbie and other inside sources. And they have come out and directly opposed that and said this guy went out there and he flatly and plainly lied that Kobbie Mainoo knew anything about this t-shirt thing. So, you know, now he's coming out saying United are seeking 40 million to 50 million pounds. Number one, I think that's very low. Maybe the club don't care because it's pure profit. But for me, I'm like, listen, if he wants to leave, it'll hurt. But and I would talk to him as a guy. Like if I was a manager and I wanted him to stay, I would talk to him and be like, listen, you could go if you want, if you choose to leave, but I feel like you're quitting and giving up, and I feel like that's a shame, and I would want you to stay here and fight, my guy. And I'll leave it up to you, but I think you should stay here and fight. And if he chooses to go, he chooses to go, because we've talked about this many times. It's one thing to ask to go on a loan. A loan is literally just being asked, listen, I don't want to permanently leave, but temporarily this situation isn't great. The club situation isn't great. And there's also a World Cup. So let me just go temporarily, and we'll come back and we'll reset for the next season, and we'll give it a go then. And then there's a difference between that and then saying, no, give me a permanent transfer. So if it actually comes out to the point where he is now asking for a permanent transfer, it changes everything. But I don't know. Listen, not everybody's reporting this. Ben Jacobs is saying this. He said it on somebody's fucking, or with some other guy named Alex Goldberg, CFC Twitch. And I think that's because that's obviously Chelsea Football Club, and Chelsea have been thrown into sort of the mix in terms of they Paul Scholes talked about him going to Chelsea. Chelsea's name's been popping up in here and there. But listen, the same thing sort of happened with Garnacho, and he ended up going there. So it could very well be true, but I'm not going to fucking go crazy right now, because this happens all the time. They say one thing, and the next day it's something different, and they sort of pull you left and right. So we'll see. And, if more people are coming out and saying these things, or, it's widely accepted at that point, but it isn't. There's only one or two guys saying this right now. So, if Fabrizio comes out and says it, if Laurie Whitwell comes out and says it, if like Simon Stone or one of the other guys, if they start coming out and saying it, then yeah, maybe it's looking real like that's sort of the case. But I'm not fully buying it yet. I'm not fully buying it. I think it's still a bit hot. The whole Kobbie Mainoo t-shirt, Ruben sort of making comments again, even though he didn't say anything bad about Kobbie this time, and he actually said he played well, and that he's not going to punish him, and he didn't say anything about that to further that. But I think it's still very hot. So I think they're gonna try and pull us in every which way and direction, because they want the reaction. They want the reaction. I like Strong Warrior. How work hard now is winner is Gallagher. Well, listen, he is good with the press. He is. I would like to visit Belfast one day. I don't have money. I need to save some more. I would also like to reach Belfast by train. Well, that sounds nice. DJ says, right on. It's strange, but a lot can't understand that principle. I love being here. I make our man do deep. The deeper you go, the more you know. Shit. Guys, I'm going to bed. Richard left us. I don't know how long ago he said that, but take care, Richard. Thank you again for becoming a member. Blue badge. I think that's 2 months. So, yeah, the next one I believe goes. I don't even know how the colors go. I made them blue. I think it's white or red. No, red is the first one. I think it's white. The next level. Then you got bronze, silver, and gold as well. And then we didn't really go past gold because, if we start doing that, then I'll make new tiers. Am I banned too? No, you're not banned. Axe has left us as well. DJ says, night, Axel, mate. Sweet dreams. Yep. We'll see you later, Axe. Be good. Pull up on Sunday. We'll see you after the match, hopefully. I was going to do a preview. I can't even do a preview. So we got into a huge thing. Lucky says sell Ugarte 28 million, sell Xerxes 27 million, get midfielder for that, Gallagher in. Well, listen, Gallagher, we might just be able to get on loan. We don't even need funds. So, we could get Gallagher in. If Atletico Madrid just agree to loan him and don't force a deal permanently, because I think United will try to use, because I don't think United necessarily I don't know how much they rate Gallagher, okay? But they're looking at the options, they're a bit thin, and they're like, well, maybe it's one that could work, and it's something that we couldn't do. And if we don't have to be tied down to it 100%, because obviously we have these other guys that we put in front of them, well, then it's sort of like a trial, and, you know, it could be good for both clubs. Give us an option to buy him, we'll loan him in. If we like him, we'll end up buying him. If not, at least he came to play for us. And maybe you get to sell him, you know, in the summer or something like that. But they need to agree to actually loan him. And I would like the loan as well, because I'm not 100% sold on him. In a lot of aspects, he does have some good aspects on him, but I would just prefer a loan anyway. It's better for us if we could loan him in with the option to buy. We're not spending money. We're getting in a player anyway, and somebody that we could use, and he could become good as well. Like, he could work out to be good for us. So I'd rather just, if it was a loan, I'd rather it that way. Because you know what? If it doesn't go well, we didn't just waste money, and now we're sort of stuck with the player that, you know, we might want to sell within a year or something like that. So it will be interesting to see how we do without our African stars. Yeah, listen, he's making these changes, so let's see the changes. I think it's going to be a bit interesting. And I think, you know, let's see what exactly it is, because there's been a lot of sort of, you know, people think he's going to play a 4-3-3 directly. I think he's got to do something that's narrow. I don't think he can do a wide formation. And I think that's part of the reason as to why he would even play a 4 at the back, because clearly we don't have wide players. And, you know, you've heard him speak about before. He said, like, you know, we need another Diallo on the other side, which is like exactly what I said, you know, like 3-4 months before he even said it. So, and we don't have those. We don't have one of those. We don't have like another sort of Diallo. We don't have like another sort of Mbeumo. You know, where he told us in the press conference, you know, De Ligt's not going to be back. Maguire, I don't think Maguire is going to be back. And now we're missing Maz. So again, that back line, you know, it's missing experience out of it. We're missing, you know, we could have definitely used Maz if he didn't go on AFCON. We could have definitely used him right now. We need him back there with the absence of Maguire and De Ligt, the absence of this experience. You know, Lisandro doesn't seem like he can give us, like, you know, even 60 minutes still at this point. So, you know, we're working with him and we're not trying to rush him. And, you know, there's Lenny and Aiden, who are two young guys, and Lenny has been struggling a little bit for a period right now. And that's, you know, you expect that to happen. He's a young guy. He's going to have times where he plays really good, and he's going to have times where he plays, you know, periods where it's not so great. So, you know, I don't know. I think that I don't know. He's got to, you know, he's going to have to change something back there, because obviously you put the 4 in the back. You got Delo. You got Delo playing the right. I guess you're going to maybe get Shaw to play left, if he even does that, or maybe Dorgu's playing left and Shaw's playing one of the center backs, and then you got, you know, one kid, and you make that back line a little bit less inexperienced, I guess, or something like that, and even out wide in the wingers and stuff like that. So I haven't a clue who this Ben Joker is, but I don't give a damn. All we want is glory. Well, listen, he's a journalist. He's not per se bad, right? I think he's rated decently good, and he does have like a lot of information, and he does get a lot of things about United. But, and you know, to a certain point, in my opinion, he's been sort of, I mean, there's a lot of bad ones out there. He's been one of the better ones. But yesterday he made this sort of comment, and I analyzed it, because I said, you know, the way he made that statement, I was like, you can break that down any which way. I was like, he didn't actually directly say, you know, if this is inside information or he's stating his opinion. So, and I was like, I felt like he did that on purpose, and I called it out, because I'm like, I think he worded it in that way to cause sort of, you know, reaction, hysteria, in that some people will take it as he's saying it's come from like inside sources and it's a fact. And, which I think most people, the way it reads and the way it sounds, will do so, because he's sort of this, you know, journalist with sources. And then people like me will look at it and be like, well, You said in quotes it was something along the lines of my understanding. Okay, so but the words my understanding, is it your understanding in your opinion? Like this is you formulated this opinion from looking at the situation? Or is it your understanding in that you have been told this by people that have inside knowledge or close sources to Kobbie that this is actually what went down? So when you make the statement to my understanding, okay, but at what level is the understanding at? Is it your opinion? Are you giving us an opinion? He didn't clarify that. It was sort of left open to interpretation, which I saw, and I said on the show, and I saw it later. It caused massive problems. You had people saying, fuck Kobbie. If this is true, fuck him. And I was like, this is what's going to happen. And then you had other people saying, fuck this guy, it's not true. And I was like, this is what he wanted, and this is what happened. So he was called out for that. I know some other people that actually I followed that they have proved that they actually have legitimate inside knowledge. And yes, they are online, but they have proved by making some claims and them working out, and they don't make a lot. So it's not like they do it for the fame. And they came out and they called it out, and they said, listen, I have these contacts at with players, with these people around United, and this is 100% false. This did not happen. Kobbie did not know anything about it. He did not know anything about it. He didn't make an agreement with him. So, and now he's coming out with a story on a Chelsea podcast, because he's not just a United journalist, but he does it for news. But now he's on a Chelsea channel, or with a Chelsea guy. He's coming out saying, United are looking for 40 to 50 million pounds for a permanent deal. Meanwhile, literally a day or two ago, we were briefed by the club that United are not looking to permanently sell him, and Kobbie is not looking for a permanent deal. So, at best, Kobbie is an Everton player. Well, I mean, but no, I mean, he can play for us. Listen, I've seen him come on the pitch. Even Ruben gave him credit. Bro, he gave him the 30 minutes. He played very well. He has good composure. He has good ability about him. He can play. I think there's difficulties in trying to play this system, and I agree that it probably won't work out, but that doesn't mean that he can't get better. It doesn't mean that he can't be better. It doesn't mean that he can't become that. So I think it all depends on the situation. We've seen him play in a 4-3-3. We've seen him play in a midfield 3, and I've seen him play exceptionally well in a 3. So it works fine. He's not. It doesn't mean he's world class, but to say Everton, no, I think he's good enough for our club for sure, and he can continue to grow to get better as we continue to get better as a team. I think that can definitely happen. So, Kobbie's not George Best. At least he's Darren Fletcher. Get rid of him. Nah, but listen, I don't believe in that. See, I think DJ, you're saying to get rid of him, but why are you saying to get rid of him? Like, I just want to know, is it because of the noise? Is it the perception? Like, what is it that you're saying to get rid of him? Because to me, the perception and the noise, I don't put that on him. It's not his fault. I blame everybody else. I blame the British media. I blame all the fans and everybody else involved. As far as I'm concerned, he's not really making noise. And I don't have necessarily a problem if he asks for a loan. A loan to me is just like, hey, I'm temporarily out of here for this season. Let me go play football, and I'm coming back. If you're asking for a loan for a permanent deal, then it's like, well, you're sort of, quitting on us. And then I don't feel the same about you anymore. But, I find it a bit interesting that some people have the opinion, and like, DJ says like he's not George Best. Well, nobody's saying he's George Best. But what we're saying is he's 20 years old, and he has there is a potential base there, and there is a potential that he could become into a very, 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 very good player. He's not that right now. I think for what he is at his age, I think he is a good player. There's better players than him, and maybe he doesn't become top pinnacle, top tier. But when I go to United, when you have somebody like this, you don't do that. You don't kick them out at 20 years old. You don't get rid of them out of the club before trying to nurture and tap into their full potential and develop them into their best version. You just don't do that. Not with somebody at his level. Not with somebody at his sort of core base. So, but I do see people say that, and it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's the hyperbolicness of people demanding for him to play, and people saying, he's one of the greatest in the world. But I would say you just got to sort of look at him on your own and not sort of react to people because they make hyperbolic, stupid comments. I look at it and I say, well, I see with my two own eyes. I could see the potential. I saw the potential from the second he stepped onto the pitch. I've seen what he can do in terms of goodness, and I've seen him struggle as well. He's not perfect. I don't expect him to be perfect. I expect him to be a kid. And just like how I talked about Lenny and how I talked about Aiden Heaven, they're not always going to be good. They're going to be good and they're going to be bad. The point is, we talked about progress. Progress goes like this. And there's going to be dips. But real progress, eventually, you do end up going up. But it's not just a flat, straight curve. So, I don't agree with selling Kobbie Mainoo. I don't think we should be selling Kobbie Mainoo. And I think this whole thing has been blown out of proportion by everybody else. Because Kobbie's not doing what Pogba did. Kobbie's agent isn't coming out and making statements week in, week out to the public and shit like that. That's not what's happening. And Ruben doesn't seem to be as bothered and about it as some of these other people that seem to be really bothered about it and saying, just get rid of him. Ruben doesn't seem that bothered because Ruben's not asking for him to be permanently sold. So, and Ruben is still using him. And Ruben is still subbing him in. So Ruben doesn't seem to be as bothered by that. So I don't think I don't think Kobbie is causing problems in that aspect. I don't think Ruben sees much problems with it. We've seen him laugh when they asked him about the free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirt. I think he laughed because I think he thinks it's fucking stupid that people are wearing free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirts. Like, I think he looks at it and he finds it quite because it is quite comical. Like it's a bit fucking hilarious, dude. Like, from his standpoint, he's like, bro, I'm just picking like the players that I deem the best, and it's like from his point of view, he'd probably tell you, some of you seem to have this weird obsession with fucking Kobbie Mainoo when like one player doesn't make the team, and I'm trying to fucking make the whole team better. And some people speak in the manner of that, like, Kobbie coming into the team is going to fucking change everything. And it's like, bro, he's just one guy. Look at the rest of it. He might make some sort of, a big impact. I mean, Lemon's had a big impact, so there's always that argument. But at the same time, it's like, dude, we have so many other shit to go on, and everybody is so focused on this that you're wearing and making free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirts. So he laughed. Like, I kind of laughed as well. Like, I'm like, dude, it's kind of stupid when you think about it. Like, these people are like, you're wearing a free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirt, like he's actually been arrested and thrown in real fucking prison, and they're holding him against like his will, dude. It's like, dude, it's not the case. It's not the case. To wear a free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirt, or to even say free Kobbie Mainoo, is to like, you're acting like Ruben grabbed him, took him underneath Old Trafford, locked him up in the dungeon, and we haven't seen Kobbie's face in like weeks. Like, bro, he's still there. You do realize that he is getting on the pitch. You do realize that he is touching the ball, right? You do realize that he is still getting minutes. You do realize that he is playing and he's still getting opportunities. It's just not as much as you would like it to be. So, because it's not as much as you'd like it to be, it's not happening at all. It's not existing. We just choose to ignore it. Because Kobbie doesn't get 60, 70, 80, 90 minutes, we're ignoring that he's getting 15, 20, 25, 30. And actually, I mean, he just got the most that he's gotten so far. So it has been sort of building up a little bit in a certain sense. So I don't know. We'll see. But, listen, we're going to get out of here. It was a really, really good show. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. And thank you to everybody that was involved in the show, and thank you for everybody that, you know, just came in here, chatted, supported the channel. And shout out to Sanchi for the super chat as well, my friend. Thank you for that. And shout out to Richard again as well for becoming part of the RDE VIP section and becoming a member of the channel. Greatly appreciate the support as always. And, you know, support in any way it goes a long way with me. So whether you send super chats or, you know, you buy you know, a membership access, or you get in the comments, or if you don't get in the comments and you're just a silent watcher and, you know, you just hit the like button and, you know, you just have me in the background and you don't comment, whatever it is, I always greatly appreciate it. So yes, thank you for all of that. Thank you for the support. And we will see each other on Sunday. Sunday will be the day. At the very least, it will be after the match. You know, I'll if I decide to do a watch along, well, you'll see it up. You know, it'll be up a good hour before the match or so. So, I'm not banking on it. So don't bank on it. Don't bet on it, because I might go watch the match with my father. So I'd rather do that, and then we'll be live afterwards anyway. So. We'll see, and we could probably take a. We've done a couple now, so we could miss one. There'll be more to do anyway, so it's never a big deal. But yeah, shout out to everybody involved in the chat. Shout out DJ and Axe and Sanchi and Lucky, of course. Johnny Hill, Richard, Box earlier out in the show. And I'm missing one or two, but I lost their names and I can't forget them. Andresito commented one or two things. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Lawrence Burry. Yeah, shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody. You guys make the show. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. And everybody take care. Have a good night. Enjoy your Fridays. Enjoy your Saturdays. And hopefully we'll be able to enjoy our Sundays together. And we'll see each other. We'll see each other on Sunday. Till then, take care. Be good and stay safe.